Hello, this is over and over and over again, the Positive Arsenal channel, and this is the Positive Arsenal podcast pre-North London Derby special. Hello, how you doing? I'm Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, the Positive Arsenal channel. This is episode 8 of the Positive Arsenal podcast, and it's quite a special show tonight because it's a Tottenham special, which is quite an unusual thing to say, really, but there you go. It's going out live on YouTube currently and Facebook and Twitter as well. So wherever you're watching it, please give it a like. And if you haven't done so already, please nip over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. I did it 200 subscribers earlier on today, so thanks to everyone who has subscribed so far. I will try and keep you entertained as much as I can, and try and keep things positive if we can as well. So back to tonight's show then. I've got some special guests joining me as we look ahead to a really important game on Sunday. First of all, he's regular. He's here pretty much every week at the minute. He's almost growing roots here. He's back again for another day. It's Melvyn. How you doing?
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me back again. Growing roots, like I grow a bit more hair, to be honest, but I'll take that. Thank you.
We all have these issues, don't worry. It's just an age thing. We just have to accept it, don't we? Unfortunately. and another guy who's become a regular on the show actually in the last few weeks. We do a Premier League show together on a Monday. Welcome back to Paul, who's going to be known as Dawsey tonight for a reason which will come clear in a minute. You're all right, mate?
Guys, you all right?
Well, you've had a bit of a stressy day, but you're here. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Hopefully, Arsenal can relieve that stress, maybe.
Well, I don't know about that. Let's start.
Bit optimistic.
Haven't you been watching the play?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and finally, last but not least, we've got a really special guest. It's his first appearance on the channel because unfortunately he actually plays for the other side, if you like. We've got a Tottenham fan in the house. It's Paul. How you doing, mate? Welcome to the show.
Come on, you Spurs.
He's already there.
Thank you for having me on the show, guys.
No, it's great to everyone. It's I think it's going to be we'll have fun with it all anyway. I'm sure it'll be good. So it's good to have you all on actually. So anyway, this is that's the panel, and this is going to become the Positive Arsenal podcast. So here we go then. Obviously, a North London derby on Sunday. Just before we really get into that, one of the things that I really wanted to I know we briefly talked about it last week, the fans coming back. We had an experience of that last night in the Europa League, and I think that obviously for Spurs, it's going to be your first time with fans in your stadium, isn't it? Since all the lockdown. And I know last week we were quite negative about it, wasn't we, Melvyn, with the fans coming back at 2,000. But actually, I don't know whether you've changed your mind a bit. After last night, I actually thought it was good. I thought the atmosphere was a lot better than I anticipated it was going to be. And it's still not how it should be. I mean, the way they're sitting all in lines and that's a little bit strange, and I can't get my head around it. But it actually seemed to go a lot better than I assumed it was going to. And I'm a little bit more positive about that now than I was. Have you sort of changed your mind having seen last night or not really?
I have. Not only because I saw it, my son was at the game. He phoned me half time. He was really, really enjoying it. It's a bit like I'm a celebrity, get me out of there. You get all these celebs, semi-celebs, and they can go to any restaurant they want, order all those meals, and yet a week away from their normal life, give them all teas and they've had it off. You know what I mean? It's a bit like that. You know, it's a small thing, but for people that hasn't had it for months, as they say, it's a big, big thing. My son really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I must admit, what I saw of it last night and the atmosphere and stuff, and I spoke to a couple of people that went, and it does seem as though it's great that fans are back, and it is. It's a shame that we can't have a few more in the stadium, isn't it? You know, we've got a 60-seater stadium. Spurs have got a similar sized ground, and it looks strange with so few people in it, doesn't it? But it is the way back, isn't it? I suppose we've got to start somewhere, and this is maybe the start. And I don't know whether you thought it was maybe an advantage for us in the way that we played. I mean, we've pretty much won every home game in the Europa League fairly comfortably anyway without fans before, so I'm not sure if it made much difference. I mean, what did you think of that last night, Dawsey, about the fans being back at the Emirates?
Yeah, I think I was a bit sceptical like you were last week, but I also understood that, like you said, it's a starting point to getting people back to where they need to be, you know. But actually watching the game, it sounded just from watching the game, it sounded like a lot more than 2,000, and I'm sure it felt like that for the players as well. I'm sure it felt like more than 2,000. So I think it is a bit strange. Like I said last week, I think it should be based on a percentage of your capacity. You should be able to fulfil X percentage, of whether it's 5% or 10% or whatever it is safe to kind of get in, rather than just starting it. Because 2,000 people in a 60,000 seater stadium compared to a 30,000 seater stadium, it's completely different, isn't it? So if you had a percentage of your capacity, I think that makes more sense to do it that way. But yeah, I'm like you. I'm pretty positive about it now. Watching the game, it certainly felt like it had an impact on the game, and it certainly sounded like there was more than 2,000. Something that's a step in the right direction. Be interesting to see Sunday when it's just Tottenham fans.
I mean, we'll see.
What I liked about it, the best thing for me was at the end of the game when the players were applauding the fans, because that's something that we've not seen at a game for a long time. And to actually see the fans, the players doing that, applauding the fans and the fans applauding them, that was something that was quite a big moment, I thought. And that's what really made me realise that actually it's been needed, this. And even though it is a small number and there are a lot of restrictions in place, it is obviously better than not having them at all. I mean, Paul, what are your thoughts? Obviously, on Sunday, you're going to have your fans in there. Do you think that's going to be even more of an advantage for you? Obviously, just having 2,000 of your fans in, obviously no Arsenal fans in. Do you think that's going to play a part in, because your home form's not as good as your away form, a bit like us, really? Do you think that might swing it?
Yeah, exactly. Certainly, our away form's been a lot better than a home form. Like you say, hopefully the fans that are in the stadium can generate a great atmosphere like yourselves. 2,000 last night, but it did sound a lot more. But hopefully, come Sunday, the players and the fans can respond to each other like your teams did last night. I can't say the word Gooners, but you did yesterday, and it obviously certainly uplifted the players. You could see the interaction with your fans, and fair play to you. The Emirates at the night, it was 2,000, seemed like 20,000 in there yesterday. I watched it for a bit, and credit to Lacazette, what a quality goal, and he rubbed off the fans and vice versa. So,
Cool.
Oh, where's he gone?
There he is.
Hopefully, Spurs fans can do us proud and get behind the team and, lead us on to victory, basically, and the fans and the team can be as one. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame maybe from our point of view that this game is going to be the first game that Tottenham fans can be in the stadium, because I do think it will make a difference, and it almost seems a little bit unfair, actually. I think it's a little bit unfair that you've got enough of an advantage anyway, having like a better team and all that kind of stuff. But this is just added to it, really, which is a bit of a shame.
In the past.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I think it's maybe bad timing from our point of view. I think that it's happened now. Just that this is the first game, really, the first Premier League kind of weekend, and I think it's maybe, I wish we were playing someone else first, and everyone had a chance to experience it a couple of games before we played you guys. But it's what it is. We just have to get on with it now, and hope that from our point of view, I hope it doesn't give too much home advantage again, because that's been one thing missing in the Premier League, hasn't it? Since the lockdown and the games with no fans, I think away teams generally have done a lot better than they used to, and maybe now with fans coming back, that might bring it back to the home team advantage again a little bit. But hopefully not until after Sunday anyway. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. What I wanted to do first, before we kind of move on to this week's game, I want to do what's become one of my favourite parts of this show, and I know it's Melvin's favourite part of this show. Just kind of memories, really, of previous North London derbies and things that maybe stick in your mind, memorable moments or memorable games. I mean, I've got literally loads, and I know Melvyn will have as well. So if we start with Melvyn, because he's got some great stories usually, so I'm sure he's got one or two lined up for today.
Yeah. I mean, mid-60s, I watched Arsenal and Spurs play each other. I used to go to the away games as well. But my first real recollection of something special was the first game of the season, 1968. My father took me to White Hart Lane when you could get tickets and decent seats, and we won 2-1. One of the best defenders who never really played a lot for England was Phil Bill. He was an amazing player. played next to Mike England, and he scored an own goal. First game of the season, absolutely wonderful. The pitch looked green. We went home. And Bill Nicholson, the Spurs manager, who was probably the best manager in the league at that time, said, if you put me under hypnosis and asked what the worst thing could be, would be losing the first home game against Arsenal. Well, 3 years later, something worse happened, didn't it? So that put that to bed. But also, 1968 was when I went both home and a leg again, away leg to White Hart Lane. No, I went at Highbury first. We won 1-0 in a League Cup semi-final. Radford scored in the last minute. It was a very tight game. That goal was really the only thing between the teams. No team looked like really winning until the last minute. And then went White Hart Lane. Spurs equalised, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. It was shaking the ground. And then we got another last-minute equaliser from a corner from Geordie Armstrong. Radford put it in, and I was standing right by where the Geordie Armstrong took the corner. Just right by the thing, and I managed to get tickets for that game. I was at school and I told my friends, because my uncle knew one of the players, goes, I've got loads of tickets coming next week, standing tickets. I went, of course you have. Next week, yeah, obviously it happened. They couldn't believe it, and I was at stand giving out tickets for a day, wasn't I? Also, the great game. Obviously, I went to the 1971 game at White Hart Lane when we won 1-0, last minute by Kennedy. There was 50,000 people there. They reckon there was more outside. I mean, I was in the Paxton, and there was a little gap between the corrugated iron and the brickwork. And I couldn't see down, obviously. I could see streets away because I was near the back, and it was like crowds and crowds. It's amazing. Absolutely, that was a wonderful, wonderful evening. But I have to say, Arsenal and Spurs, in my time, have been Arsenal beat Spurs 5-0 at White Hart Lane. I missed it. I was there. I was away. Absolutely wonderful. I was on holiday. I think it was over December time. Went on holiday, and I was on the plane. Obviously, nowadays you couldn't phone anybody. It was ridiculous. And this is the next day. I went into this switch up with our friends who was going away with, and it said Sunderland scores 3. I thought, who's interested in bloody Sunderland Football Club? Right? And I went, hold on a minute, Alan Sunderland. I went, yeah, shout out, yeah. And the geezer behind the counter, I thought he was going to hit me. But I managed to go. I'm so lucky. I managed to go when they beat us 5-0. When they absolutely, Chris Hooton scored 2. I think he's never scored 2 in his life before. Who else scored 3?
Go on, Chris.
Another geezer scored.
Mark
It
Falcon.
was Brazil scored 1. Brazil scored 1. And I looked today at the team, and I thought, we had a rubbish team out that day. That's why they did it. In my mind for years, that's always been my excuse. Well, we didn't have that bad a team, actually. Apart from we didn't have our first team goalie. We had George Wood. The rest of the team was a proper team. So that was horrible. I went with my brother-in-law, who's a Spurs supporter. So I just lose the whole way home. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And obviously, work Monday morning went much better either. But it was, I've been at so many games. I mean, with Spurs, you do get, even, don't matter where you are in the league or where they are, you get butterflies. I don't know what it is. It's something special. It really is. And every second of the game, you're kicking the ball. You'd give up a lot to beat Spurs. You'd lose 3-0 against 4 other teams. I don't know what it is. It's amazing. But, I'm glad we have Spurs, and I hope Spurs are glad we got us. It gives us all an extra edge and makes it happy when we win and perhaps not so happy when we get beat. But if one of us went out in the division, 2 divisions down, and went to play again for ages, that would be bad. For me, it'd be bad either team.
Yeah. I mean, talking about that 5-0, that was my first ever time I went to White Hart Lane, actually, that 5-0.
No.
Yeah, so that was my first ever time there. That was terrible. But yeah, there's been a few to make up for that over the years, I guess, since then.
I must say one other one. Sorry, Richard. There's one that really sprung to mind. We went to White Hart Lane, and we just signed Malcolm McDonald. I don't know if it was that year or the year before. He was our number 1, and he scored 2 early goals, and we were coasting. And then playing for Spurs was Willie Young. I think he got sent off that game. And as he went off the park, all the Arsenal supporters were booing him. We drew 2-2, and then we signed him the next season. We thought, what's the manager doing? This guy is a joke. What are you doing? He finished up. He was a hero, wasn't he? Young. He turned it around completely, and he was the one that the crowd loved. So it just shows you.
His first game for Arsenal, I think it was his debut, Willie Young, when he first played for Arsenal. I think we were at home to Ipswich and got beat 4-1. And I think he
gave a penalty away, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he messed up 2 or 3 of the goals with his
fault. Yeah, he wasn't brilliant.
Spurs, he has a terrible debut. How do you recover from that?
I know. Yeah, they didn't love him that day. No, he wasn't. I thought that'd be the last time we see him.
Yeah, no, amazing really how he recovered and became such a good player for Arsenal as well, actually. But we'll come on to him actually a bit later on when we talk about the players, actually, because he'll be one of the ones that we talk about. I mean, what about yourself, Dawsey? What are your sort of memories of playing Spurs down the years? Mainly happy, I'm assuming.
Yeah, mainly happy, yeah. I can't go quite as far back as Melvyn, unfortunately, in terms of actually watching the games. But the first one that kind of really sticks in my mind is the '93 FA Cup semi-final. I was 9. Yeah, I was 9 when we played that game. So that was the first one I kind of really watched and kind of acknowledged what was happening, you know. And obviously it was nice to get revenge for a couple of years before that when Gazza scored that free kick. So that was a nice one with Tony Adams scoring the winner in that game. So that was the first North London derby really that I kind of really remember. And obviously we went on to win the FA Cup that year as well, which was a nice way to top it off. The next one I kind of picked out was we didn't win it, but we did win the league. So 2004, the 2-2 draw. I don't think I'm still annoyed to this day that we didn't win that game because I think we should have done. But in hindsight, just being able to celebrate that there, everything that went around Sol Campbell there as well being there, obviously. That didn't go down too well on the other side of North London, so that was quite nice for us to enjoy as well. Yeah. One game I did really enjoy was back in 2014 when Rosicky scored that absolute thunderbolt in the first couple of minutes. Yeah. Unbelievable goal. I didn't enjoy the game at the time because I thought we'd scored too early because at that time the teams were a lot closer. The games were a lot more even. Just having to endure 85 minutes odd of being 1-0 up was horrible. But at the end of that game, winning it with that goal was just was brilliant. And then obviously before that, just before that, we got the two 5-2s, which again didn't really enjoy either one of those games really. But being able to win both of those were 2 really good memories. There was quite a few from really throughout the period of the first kind of 10 years of Arsene Wenger's reign. I think we pretty much dominated that time. So there's plenty of games that I could pick from, but they were 4 that I kind of really stuck out for me. 4 or 5 games that really stuck out for me. Not been quite so good the last few years.
No, I mean our record actually in the last few years, especially away at Tottenham, has been really poor, hasn't it? But that one that you've mentioned there, that's the last time we've won there in the league.
Yeah,
a long time ago. So our record there has been
14,
yeah. So it's about time we started turning that around, really. But anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later on. We don't really want to hear Paul's memories of Spurs being Arsenal, but I suppose
he won't have many. He hasn't got many.
No, it just won't take long, will it?
Well, there's a few. My early memories, obviously, 1991 semi-final. Like Dawsey said, Gazza, that free kick. Lineker was one of my heroes, so to see him get 2 against you and then go on to win it, was a real special point for me. There's obviously been the 2-1 at the Emirates where we were 1-0 down, and then Yunus Kabul got the winning goal. Then the 4-4 with the Bentley goal, and then the comeback. There's been some classic ones, and the ones at the Lane with Toby last season, Harry Kane, especially for me, sticks out. The way he cut in from the side and bent it in to make it 2-1. But with the derby games, as you rightly said earlier on, form goes out the window. It's a one-off game. Both fans, when they're together, are up for it. So are the players. So anything can happen, as long as it's the White Hart Lane team that are winning on the day and not you boys, I'll be quite happy.
They're horrible games to watch, though, aren't they? I hate watching them. I really do hate the derby. Until they're finished, and regardless of the result, you're either annoyed or you're happy. But the 90 minutes is just absolute torture.
Now, it doesn't help that most times when we play Tottenham, the games are always in the balance. It's never like you're never like 3 or 4-0 up when it's comfortable. It's usually a tight game. It's 0-0 or it's 1-1 or it's 1-0, and it's just too tense. I don't really enjoy them. I haven't really enjoyed them for well, forever really. The very first ever Arsenal Tottenham game I went to was 1982 at Highbury, and there was a lot of trouble in the North Bank that day, and that's when I kind of realised, the first time I realised exactly what the rivalry meant really that day. And since then, I've never really enjoyed the games just because of how tense they are. But talking about the 91 semi-final, actually, I've got quite a good story about that, because we couldn't get tickets for Arsenal, and I can't remember why now, because we had a season ticket at the time, but couldn't get tickets from Arsenal. So a mate of mine, he managed to arrange getting some tickets off this guy that he knew, right? So before the game, we had to meet him at Baker Street to get these tickets. So we met this guy in this pub in Baker Street, got the tickets, brilliant.
Got called Jerry, was he?
Yeah, he might have been, yeah. So we was on the train going up to Wembley, and I've got the tickets out of my pocket and I look at them. I said to my mate, "You do realise these are in the Spurs end?" He's gone, "No, they're not." I said, "I'm telling you, they are," and they were. So we're thinking this is going to be fun. So anyway, we got into Wembley where we were sat. Funny enough, it was in the back row behind the goal, right in the very back row. And obviously, before the game, the teams. Luckily, we weren't wearing Arsenal colours or anything like that, so it was all right. And then obviously, all the teams came out. The game started, and then Gazza scored that free kick after about 5 minutes, whatever it was. And literally, there was like mayhem going on around us in the Spurs end. It was just crazy. Me and my mate are sitting there thinking, "What are we doing?" Anyway, it took Spurs fans sitting around us probably about 5 minutes before they'd calmed down to realise that we hadn't been celebrating. We hadn't been out. We're suddenly getting everyone looking at us like thinking, "Hang on a minute." So anyway, me and my mate said, "We're not going to stay here anymore. This is ridiculous," because they were going mad. So in them days, you could actually walk around Wembley in the concourse all the way around the whole stadium. Yeah. So we went down, started walking round. We'd been walking around. We thought we was about halfway around the stadium. We heard this big roar again. We're thinking we've equalised. We ran up the nearest lot of stairs, got up the top, and we saw it was 2-0. I think Lineker had scored. It was 2-0. So we're thinking, "Oh my God, this is no good." And then by the time we finally got round, we didn't get round up to the other end. We managed to get into the Arsenal section. We just went up into the bit. We managed to find a couple of spare seats, and we sat there. And obviously, Spurs ended up winning. So that was just a total disaster that day. And every time I watched a clip of that free kick of Gazza, it just reminds me of being sitting in that Spurs end, watching them, sitting there thinking, "What are we doing here?" That was perfect. But like Dawsey said before, 93 was a nice little revenge for that when Big Tone stuck one in. Oh, Luca's in. How you doing, mate? Good to see you. I mean, obviously there's been some great memories over the years. I mean, I know Dawsey touched on 2004 winning the league and stuff like that, which is you can't really get much better than that. And I know it's something that we can only dream about now, I guess, doing it again. But that's obviously a good memory as well. But I mean, another one that sticks in my mind, actually, there was a game. It was on Boxing Day 1983. And I was about 15. Me and my mate went. And again, that was in days you didn't need a ticket. So we were queuing up to get in the Arsenal in, and we couldn't get in because it was full. So we went round onto the side into the shelf section, which was just along the side. So we managed to get in there. And we were in there thinking, "Oh, it's no fun being in here." So we went out after about 25 minutes of the game. I think Arsenal had scored, but at some point we couldn't celebrate the goal or anything. So we went up to a steward and we said, "Look, we're in the wrong end here. Can you not move us? Because we don't feel safe." And because we were only about 15 at the time, I think he felt a bit sorry for us. So he led us around the pitch, and we were literally on the little track behind, between the pitch and the terrace behind the goal. We're walking along there, and Charlie Nicholas scored. And when the goal's on the telly, you can see us walking along the side. Yeah. We're heading to the top, into the Arsenal. That was brilliant. I think we won that game as well. But that was just really.
That was 4-2, Richard. I think Charlie got a couple. And he got another one that season at White Hart Lane in the League Cup.
He did in the League Cup, yeah. But that one there was, we just happened to be walking around the side of the pitch because we were being transferred into the right end. And we happened to score at that very moment, which was just unbelievable, really. So that was really good. Also, in 91, the year that we won the league, we drew 0-0 at White Hart Lane. Gary Lineker and David Seaman had a battle that day, and Lineker just couldn't score past him, and Seaman had an unbelievable game. We was on the shelf that day, on the halfway line. There's about 200 Arsenal fans, and we didn't realise there were so many Arsenal fans around us. Me and my mate are sitting there thinking we're just going to be quiet. We're going to have to be quiet. And then about half an hour to go, we suddenly realised actually there was Arsenal fans all around us. Suddenly the police were all around us, and we were just cordoned in a circle on the halfway line. We're just thinking, please don't score. If anybody scored in that game, I would have died. It was glad it finished 0-0. So thanks, David Seaman, for not letting them go. Tottenham has got No, well, if we'd have scored as well, I don't know what would have happened. So we managed to get out of that. I don't know. I've ended up in the Spurs in a few times actually. Which
I got a question for you, Richard. Got a question for you. I've seen Spurs play at Highbury, and Arsenal weren't the opposition. When was it?
Was that a cup semi-final against Wolves?
That's right. We went. I went with my dad.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't know why we just fancied. I mean, there were two good teams there.
Was that 82?
I think it was 82 when Andy Gray played for Wolves. He couldn't make the. He got injured in the first one. Didn't make it, but they had Garth Crooks playing, and he was lightning that night. I think he got the first goal. If not,
that was a replay, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's a replay. Yeah. It was a midweek game.
Was it 3-0?
Amazing. 3-0. They slaughtered them. Once the first goal went in, it was all over.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Is that the only time they played at the semi-final at Highbury?
No, other teams have played semi-finals. No, Ipswich, West Brom.
No, I mean
Tottenham haven't played there before. No, Tottenham haven't played.
I know another game. QPR played at Highbury once. Do you remember in the European game?
Right.
I think they won 6-2 at Highbury. QPR. That was probably been about 83.
I don't know why they did it, but they did it. I don't know why they played not Loftus Road. Perhaps the plastic. Right. They used to have a plastic pitch. Perhaps the grass had melted. I don't know.
They had a plastic pitch. Yeah, that's probably what it was actually. Probably because they had that plastic pitch. Yeah, I remember that. I went to that. QPR played some European team, won 6-2 at Highbury one night. That was quite good. But yeah, I remember that Tottenham playing in the semi-final. Yeah. I wonder if they smashed the toilets up like they did at the Emirates. That's the first time they came here. But, but anyway, obviously, we're looking back in time a little bit. So it's probably a good idea to maybe move on to another section I quite enjoy as well. Now, the first player that I can remember who played for both clubs was this guy. Absolute legend for both clubs, I think, really, wasn't he? I mean, you probably remember him playing for Arsenal and Spurs, Melvyn, do you?
I do. He was a great goalkeeper. He was probably best in the world when he was at Spurs for part of his time there. He could catch a ball with one hand. He could actually play football on the deck. He could do everything. He was unflappable. He never panicked. He was unbelievable. We signed him near the end of his career, I think Spurs thought. And I went to the first game he played. We played away, the first game of the season, away to Ipswich. We got beat 1-0 and it rained. And we were at the opponent's end. There was no cover. And I was wearing a leather jacket. Got back in the car with my brother and a mate of mine. By the time I got home, it was starched. The jacket. I had to throw it away. It was like ruined. That he was an amazing goalkeeper. I mean, he must have given so much confidence to the defenders. He was wonderful. Now I'm glad to have seen him play for Spurs and for Arsenal. He's terrific. And he's at Spurs now, isn't he? Isn't he working for Spurs? Paul?
Yeah, I think he's some capacity, not on coaching or anything like that, but an ambassador and things like that. On match days, you can go and see him, things like that. But certainly a legend for both clubs, and
definitely.
Just guys that I'm a bit like Dawsey's age. I'm 40 now, so I never got a chance to see him live. But obviously, clips I have done, amazing.
Yeah,
it was the first game I went to. He was Arsenal's goalkeeper, Pat Jennings. So it was almost like, it's one of the sort of players that you how famous he is and how great he is, and to actually see him play live and play for your club was great. So that was a great memory. Obviously, he played in goal the first few years I was going to Arsenal actually. So. I mean, I don't suppose you remember much about him, do you, Dawsey? I'm obviously not seeing him.
Just same as Paul, really, just seeing clips and reading about him, really. But I mean, it was clear to see that he was a very, very good goalkeeper. So but obviously don't remember. I'm actually slightly younger than Paul, so a couple of years anyway. So I obviously never saw him play live, but from what I saw, he was a brilliant goalkeeper.
Yeah, an all-round sort of genuine guy as well, isn't he? As well, as it seems, so brilliant. And someone that we did sort of mention a little bit earlier, and a player that actually probably had the greatest ever FA Cup final moment I've ever seen, was this guy.
I still. What for Paul Allen you're talking about?
Yeah, that professional foul has got to be the greatest moment I've ever seen in a cup final. That was just. He didn't do it to hurt him, did he? It was like a gentle little trick, and you're not going to score. Wow. I'm just going to put you over. It was absolutely brilliant. I didn't see much of him play for Arsenal, unfortunately, because he was sort of on his last legs at Arsenal when I first started going. I saw him play 2 or 3 games before he left, actually. But I know what a great what a great player he was in the end for both clubs. I mean, I don't know too much about him at Spurs, really. Do you know much about his career at Spurs, Paul, Willie Young? Do you know what?
Not really much, to be honest with you. Again, age is probably against me here for seeing the players back then. But, watch the clips again, a bit like David Howells, in my opinion, a good clubman, but never gets the recognition that they truly deserve, really, unfortunately. So,
yeah, he's a bit of a cult hero at Arsenal, as Melvyn alluded to before. I mean, I think I loved him. I know, when I first started going, he was massively popular. Even I'll say towards the end of his career. I mean, do you know much about him, Dawsey? About Willie Young? Then, really, no.
No, same as Paul. Really, just from reading stories and seeing clips. Yeah. Really, we need to come back this way a little bit.
Which you might remember. Some of them you might not want to remember. Probably the most famous player I think that's played for both clubs. Probably the biggest transfer at the time when it happened, wasn't it? When he joined Arsenal, obviously first captain. I mean, that was. I don't think I've ever been shocked by a transfer as I was by that one. That just blew my mind when that was announced that Sol Campbell had joined Arsenal. That was just incredible, really. I mean, what were your thoughts about that, Paul? You must have been gutted and devastated by that, mustn't you?
I was. I admit I was the first one to throw the toys out of the pram. I had posters that I ripped up and was in a half and sulking, but I think it could have gone anywhere but you. And I think in time it would have been respected and welcomed back with open arms. But it's a short career. You only get one career, and you want to win trophies. At the time, we weren't in a position to do that. But Man United, Liverpool, anywhere else but Arsenal, and he would have been welcomed back with open arms. But what he won for you can't deny it. And for his opinion, it was a good decision to go there. But for us, on the other side, it was just the fact leading up that, previous interviews with ITV, things like that. I'm a Tottenham, man through and through. And then he went and go to the, Arsenal kind of thing. It was just a bit of kick in the guts and a little bit hard to swallow and take. And unfortunately, the reception he got was because of that at the time when he went back with Arsenal to the lane. So, but that's certainly that atmosphere when he returned. I've never seen anything like it, so.
Yeah, I mean, that first game back at White Hart Lane when Sol Campbell played for Arsenal, the atmosphere that day was one of the most hostile atmosphere I think I've ever experienced at a game. I mean, how he came through that game and actually managed to put in a good performance that he did. I don't know how he did it because the sticky and abuse he was getting, was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen that before or since, actually, ever, anywhere. So, I mean, credit to him for getting through that game. And, I mean, I never quite understood Sol Campbell. I don't know what he was like when he played for Tottenham because I didn't watch him that much. But when he played for Arsenal, he always looked very miserable. He never looked like he enjoyed playing football. Like that at Tottenham as well.
Well, actually, when I would have liked times I saw him live, he was full of life, enthusiastic. He had a smile on his face and such. I remember before George Graham signed for Tottenham, I was at the Leeds game and it was 3-2 down. And last minute, Campbell powered in the header to make it 3-3. And just thought they were Spurs through and through. But like Harry Kane, one of our own kind of thing. And then went. It was just too much for us Spurs fans to take. Really, I felt betrayed. I felt that he had spun us along. But what he won, you can't deny him the fact that he made the right choice in his opinion. And the trophies you all got as a team. Speaks for itself, doesn't it? That's the end of the day. What players want to win. You can only be loyal so long, but just not to yourselves. That was all.
No. I mean, to be honest with you, if that had been the other way around, then I know how we would have felt. If our captains at that time, say Patrick Vieira, for example, had joined Tottenham, that would have been the worst day ever. So I totally understand how you.
You don't see many top players going from Arsenal to Spurs. It's always if it's anything, it's like other way around. We don't do much business at all, do we? So.
Well, we don't know. There's not been many players that I can remember. I mean, probably all the ones we're going to feature about, the only ones I can think of that's actually played for both clubs. And he's probably the one that was in the peak of his career when he made the switch, which is very unusual. So Pat Jennings did it towards the end of his career. Willie Young wasn't really a high-profile player, particularly, was he? So, and some of the other ones we're going to mention maybe wasn't such a high-profile kind of player at the time. That was the biggest one ever. I say that's the only signing I can actually took my breath away almost. It's like, wow, I just didn't see that at all.
The thing is with Pat Jennings didn't want to leave Spurs. Spurs had a young goalkeeper who was highly rated, and they thought it was a very good deal. He had a long, illustrious career with Spurs. He did that. They thought, right now, everyone's got a time where they've got to move on, and that was it. And going back to the Campbell situation, it wasn't that much of a shock because Talk Sport, Alan Brazil, was the first guy I remember talking about it well before it happened. And he spoke about it once, and he kept mentioning it all the time. And it was really weird that he had the inside leg measurement on that, but he seemed to know what was going on. And so, yeah, I was astounded when it actually happened, because how many rumours do you hear that nothing happens?
Yeah,
so it wasn't
exactly.
when it actually happened, it was still a shock, though, because I thought, this can't be happening, surely not.
I don't think I'll ever forget that clip of Arsene Wenger and Sol Campbell walking around that advertising board. Just that smile that Wenger had on his face for that moment. Because, like you say, it just for a lot of people, it just came out of complete. It was. We didn't know it was happening. No one. It kind of just come up out of nowhere. But yeah. I mean, it turned out to be a great move for us. I really liked him, and it takes some bollocks to do that, for a player that is, for a player that is, and he probably was Spurs through and through. But to make that decision because that was the best one for his career at that time, that takes some real mental strength to know what he was going to get. But like Paul was touching on, there was a couple of interviews, weren't there, a year and a couple of years before that, where they asked him in a post-match interview, saying, "Are you going?" And he kind of, "I'm staying." And then that does the rounds every now and again. You see that, and it's just I can only. I mean, we've had big players leave for City and Man United and stuff that's been painful at the time, but I don't think anything could probably come close to that. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I've got a story about that actually. A few years before, about 97, I think it might have been, we'd been to some Arsenal game, and we ended up we come back to London. It was an away game. We come back to London like late at night, and we found this little club that was open in the West End. And it just so happened there was a couple of Tottenham players in there. Teddy Sheringham, Sol Campbell was there. There was a couple of others. Anyway, there was at the bar. Teddy Sheringham was at the bar. Right? My mate was having a little conversation with him, and he said to Teddy Sheringham, do you fancy coming out to sign for Arsenal? I can't remember. Before he went to Man United, I think, or it was the season before he joined Man United. But he's going, "Do you want to come to Arsenal?" And Teddy Sheringham's gone, "The one club I'll never play for is Arsenal." Right? Sol Campbell was standing next to him, and he's like nodding his head, agreeing with him. 3 or 4 years later, Sol Campbell's joined Arsenal. That was just amazing, really.
Makes it even worse, doesn't it?
Well, kick in the guts, but hey ho.
Do you think like Sol Campbell for Spurs was brilliant, but do you think out the two, Ledley King was a better centre half?
In my opinion, yeah, I've rated Ledley. Unfortunately, he was, injuries aside, I think went on to be one of the best defenders in the league. Certainly for England. But him and JT, I could have seen, certainly being the back four for a long time. But don't get me wrong, Sol Campbell on his day was a great defender, and that's probably the reason why we were where we were, because we was losing such a great defender, and they do come a lot and harder in between for where you find them. Yapstam, for instance, another good one for United. People like that kind of level, you don't want to lose them, but you do appreciate them when they've gone, what they do for the club. But
Yeah, Ledley was a great player. It was such a shame that he just could not keep himself fit. A bit like Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere could have been such a great player, but just for the love of God, just can't stay fit. So it's a shame. But he's back at the club now. I think he's coaching now, isn't he, Ledley?
Yeah, he's part of Jose Mourinho's back team staff or the first team. So our young defenders like Joe Rodon are getting his teaching, but just his presence. He is Tottenham through and through. And it's only going to be beneficial for the players that are working with him defensive-wise and everything. Win-win. I was really chuffed to see Jose Mourinho doing that. So long may that relationship continue, and hopefully he can form and coach the future England centre-backs in future if we got any coming through, kind of thing. So
you need players like that. Your club, don't you? Players that get they get it. They get what it means to play for the club. You have to have players like that around. Have to.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we had that in Dawsey when we played for Merrow, didn't we? That we went about. All right, different league, but different standards. But you get on that pitch, you want to do your best for your teammates, and same kind of thing. I can't wait to see what the future holds for our defenders, whether they're English, Welsh, or whatever. Under his tuition, they can only go to the top. So.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he will, because I say he was a top player, and he looks like you said, he's Tottenham through and through, isn't he? I mean, personally, I never really actually went to Sol Campbell. I got to be honest. The time he played for Arsenal, I respected him and admired him for what a good player he was, but I never really warmed to him. I say he never really seemed happy playing football, and he always seemed to have. There was that game when he walked out at half time, or one game.
West Ham.
That was West Ham, wasn't it? Yeah, and he went missing, didn't he?
He always seemed to have going on. And I don't know whether it was because he was playing for Arsenal and he didn't really want it. I'm not sure, but he never seemed happy playing. I never saw him play with a smile on his face. He seemed very intense. And I say he walked out on that game, and I don't know. I never quite warmed to him, I don't think. Although I say I did admire him as a player, fantastic defender, brilliant. But yeah, that's maybe something I'm not quite sure why he didn't seem to enjoy playing football. But there you go. I mean, not everybody does, I guess. Another defender actually, who I actually forgotten that played for Spurs and Arsenal was this fella. I forgot that
Gallas.
Yeah, William Gallas. Yeah, I mean, he had quite a mixed career at Arsenal, shall we say? I mean, what would you say about William Gallas, Melvyn? If you had to sort of sum him up,
even if Gallas was the best player, our best defender, and best everything else, what hurt me was that we got rid of Cole to get him. It was one of the worst switches I've ever seen. And then we played him. He was a sweeper, really, when he centre half stroke sweeper. We played him as a left back. It was like, what are we doing? What absolutely? And he didn't quite. For me, he didn't live up to what he did at Chelsea. He wasn't the same player. I know that probably Chelsea had a better defence at the time, but sometimes you fit in a team, you don't fit in another team. You can't put your feet, and that was it. I don't think he ever fitted in with us, to be honest with you. We definitely never got the best out of him, and we got the worst of the deal by a million miles. Yeah. So I think I just got sad memories of that deal, I must admit.
Yeah, I think the second he came in and took that number 10 shirt, that was it. I just wasn't interested after that. And then obviously there was the meltdown at Birmingham, wasn't there, where he was kicking the advertising boards and sulking on the pitch, as a captain. Yeah, not good memories for me. And the fact he played for Chelsea, Tottenham and Arsenal just goes to tell you that he doesn't really care, does he? Not really that interested in upsets.
It's special, isn't it, to play for those three clubs in your career, I must admit. And I don't think, I don't know, I don't really remember too much about him at Spurs. What was he like at Spurs? He was towards the end of his career by then, wasn't he?
He was probably what the manager thought at the time we needed, a bit still, so to speak, at the back. At the time, was going through a transition period where, we weren't as what we are now in terms of attracting the best players. Well, I say now, we're getting there. Don't get me wrong. It's good to see us getting players of the caliber we have got in. In the past, we've had to scrap and scrape, and I've watched some good players and not so good players in the Spurs shirt. But at the time, we could attract top draw defenders and things like that. So I can't remember who brought him into Spurs. It could have been Hoddle maybe, or maybe something like that. I don't know. But certainly needed him to try and get that winning mentality again. With us, that's what we need, that mentality of getting the trophy, then building. I know if you go to every Spurs fan, that's what they're saying we need, which is, we need to get that mentality of winning consistently, getting trophies in the cabinet, and then, hopefully going on to bigger and better things. But certainly what at the time, let's be fair, I've seen Tramezzani plays like that in the Spurs shirt. So at a Gallas level, it was quite a nice experience to see someone that had played for Chelsea and Arsenal. So
Paul,
he's one of those players.
We've had playing for us. Can't believe that they ever wore the shirt. I'll see you when I raise you, all right?
Okay.
He's just Gallas is just one of those players that won't get remembered anywhere, will he? No. In 10, 15, 20 years' time, no one will look back.
I think Chelsea will. I think Chelsea, he had a good career, didn't he? He had the best ever defence in the Premier League history and stuff like that. So I think at Chelsea are probably remember him quite warmly. I don't think we do, and I don't think it doesn't sound like Spurs do either, particularly. And I think maybe his best years were at Chelsea, wasn't they? Certainly really. He's another one I never really warmed to at Arsenal. You could see he was a good player, but that Birmingham thing that that Dawsey mentioned before, when he sulked on the pitch when we gave away the penalty and stuff, that's not a captain, is it? That's not a leader. And I never really got my head around him after that, and I wasn't that disappointed when he went actually. Yeah,
You say that, a lot of Arsenal supporters. Sorry, a lot of our supporters go at him, Richard. But for me, in that Birmingham game that we drew 2-2, they blame him for going berserk and all that. There's worse culprits on the field than him.
Yeah.
Adebayor, for example. We were 2-1 up. All they had to give it was square, 3 feet to Bentner. Bentner would have probably missed from 3 feet, let's be fair. But he had a chance.
They never got on, did they? They never got on.
That is what I'm always. They played in the semi-final against Spurs. Spurs match was 5-1, was it, in the semi-final? Yeah, and then an argument on the field. The only passion they showed that night. And then a few weeks later, we played away at Birmingham, and they still obviously weren't getting on. Instead of him giving the ball to Benton, we could have been 3-1 up. Gallus could have done what he liked, couldn't he? Basically. Yeah. So I blame Adebayor more than him, and the ref I thought had a stinker and all, but that's another story.
Well, yeah, no. I don't blame Gallus for us not winning that game. I just didn't like his reaction afterwards. As a captain,
a bit of weakness.
When things had gone against him, and he didn't, did he? And obviously that then led to sort of the collapse that we had that season a little bit as well. And obviously he lost the captaincy soon after that, didn't he?
That felt like because we went through a period where the armband didn't seem to really mean too much, did it? It kind of just got flung around here, there, and everywhere, and that kind of almost seemed like the start of it, didn't it? When Fabregas when it got handed over to Gallas, and that kind of felt like that period where it didn't really mean anything to anyone. It got flung around here, there, and everywhere. So losing Cole at the time as well made me dislike him even more because I was a left back. He was absolutely my idol. I played left back. Yeah, such a shame.
Talk about the captaincy being taken, with Fabregas and all that. But last night, how many captains did you have? 6 without an armband? I was told, someone told me Ganosaurus was going to be the next one.
Yeah.
Around to Ozil eventually, wouldn't it? If they'd carried on.
Oh, yeah. Well, same thing, isn't it? Ganosaurus.
That's true, yeah. That's what he does. Another player who plays for both clubs that I absolutely detest, I don't know what Spurs thought about him, is this guy. Never liked him. Even when he played for Arsenal, I never really liked him. I thought he had a terrible attitude. I thought he was better than what he was. And I did actually see quite sad actually because he fell out of love with football, he said, later on in his career, and he kind of drifted out of the game. I mean, I do think he had ability, but I just never liked his attitude. I just thought he was one of them typical young footballers who just thinks that they're a lot better than what they are, and I don't know. And I was not surprised when he didn't make it, but of course, I guess you'll remember him, Paul, for that goal he scored at the Emirates from about halfway line.
Yeah, of course. But again, that was a Spurs signing that for Blackburn. He showed so much promise. Was getting in New England. Everyone was portraying him as the next Beckham kind of thing for his delivery of crosses and free kicks, etc. So at the time, I thought it was an amazing signing. I really did. I thought, good. It's about time we've made that caliber kind of signing for Spurs. Like you say, that goal against the Emirates, but then, like you say, just something inside him thought, enough of losing his passion, his interest, and, loved the bit with Harry Redknapp, don't get me wrong, at the Man City game where he tipped it over his head. That was good. That was good bonding for him, but then, performances started to subside, and, then you say the commitment wasn't there, and, it became like a page boy kind of thing towards the end, but, in the papers for all the wrong reasons. But, certainly at the time when we signed him, I thought, well, we're excellent. Being a Spurs fan as well, thought it was a win-win situation, you see. But these things don't always turn out you think they're going to,
I think he was only 28 when he retired.
Yeah.
He was young, wasn't he?
Yeah. So much potential, so much promise.
Yeah. Just obviously fell out of love of it, didn't they?
So many people would love to have that talent, wouldn't they? They'd run through brick walls and play football. And yet that guy had it all. I thought when he was coming through the Arsenal ranks and started getting in the first one. Did he go on to Norwich on loan or something like that?
Yeah.
He looked terrific. I thought, you know what? In a year's time, he's going to play for us for 10 years, this kid. Absolutely fantastic. And obviously, he wasn't doing what he should be doing. He probably, as you say, Richard, probably thought he was a little bit better than what he was. Took his foot off the gas, and the Arsenal saw that. Blackburn took a punt, and he was brilliant. I remember Man United, I think he got 2 goals against them one game. Yeah. He ran the show against Man United. He looked super. And then when Spurs signed him, I went, bloody hell, here we go. But he never kicked on, apart from that game against that 4-4 game, which I'm not talking about. All right, get that one. Never happened. But, it's a shame because he could have been so good.
Yeah,
definitely.
He didn't score many bags.
He was a great player.
I think it was an attitude issue, I think, with him, because like you said, he had the ability quite clearly. Do you remember that goal he scored against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup when he chipped the keeper from the edge of the box? I mean, that was you know, and he was a young player then, just breaking through, and you thought, yeah, he could have a career. He really could. And I don't know, I just don't think he had the right attitude, unfortunately. And I think that's what maybe did for him in the end, because I do feel as though he had the potential, didn't he, to be a top player. And he had glimpses, didn't he? Glimpses for us, glimpses for Blackburn, glimpses for Spurs as well. And unfortunately, it didn't quite happen for him. I mean, what do you remember about him, Dawsey? David Bentley?
Just same as you guys, really. Just you could see him coming through. You could see the ability he had, and like Paul touched on, people saying he was going to be the next David Beckham. Seemed to have that fashion mindset as well, didn't he? Used to copy his haircuts and stuff like that. He always tried to mould himself into the kind of the next Beckham, and he never seemed to score a bad goal, did he? All the goals he scored seemed to be pretty spectacular. But there was just something within him, wasn't there, mentally, whether it was not the right attitude or, you know, something wasn't quite right with it, and he just didn't enjoy it. So it was a shame, because there's a wasted talent.
Completely.
Remember when he was a young player coming through, and I remember I saw an interview with him once, and he said something about, you know, because his initials were DB, he's going, well, you know, same as Dennis Bergkamp and the same as David Beckham. And it was almost like,
oh no.
And I'm thinking, you're not going to do that. You can't be going on like that at your age. You know what I mean? Expect that to happen. And I just think he just got ahead of himself. He thought he was going to become a great player without having to really put the effort in that needed. Maybe that I say in the end, that's probably why he didn't quite make it. But it's a shame in a way. But I just never liked him. There was something about him I just didn't like particularly. I think it was
he had a chip on his shoulder, didn't he?
And I think it's what Melvyn said as well. You know, us lot, we've all played football in our time, and we'd have loved that opportunity to have. You know, we would literally have gave everything if we'd got an opportunity, and he just seemed to just whittle it away as though he just thought he could just stroll through it and it would work for him. And that kind of annoys me when I see players do that, really, because you know, it's hard enough to play at the sort of level that we might have played at, let alone get the opportunity to play at that level, and just to throw it away like that. I think that's unforgivable almost, especially a player that's got that much ability. So that's why on with him. I want to finish with somebody that I apologise to Melvyn and Dawsey for showing his picture, but I'm afraid I'm going to just put it briefly on, and then we'll move it.
Oh, I thought that was the one.
Don't really want to, you know, we don't want to dwell too much on this guy, do we? Although I believe he scored the most ever North London derby goals between two clubs against you lot, and he scored for you lot against us as well a few times, didn't he? Ryan's hello, Ryan, hey, mate. Thanks for watching. And Hussein's in as well. Tier 2 Milton Keynes. But you're lucky you're in Tier 2, mate, so enjoy it. I asked about Adebayor, I thought I'd save that comment until I mean, what do we discuss about Adebayor? He's another player with an attitude issue, definitely. He had an attitude problem when he was at Arsenal. We mentioned before he didn't get on with Nicholas Bentner. I don't think he got on with a few other players as well. And he's another one who I always felt maybe had a slightly inflated ego. He was a good player, don't get me wrong. He scored a lot of goals. 30 goals he got for us in one season, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was the lone striker, Richard, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And
he had back 4 or 5 midfielders, and he was just by himself, like Clive Allen did for Spurs.
Season after Thierry Henry, and he came in. It was like he scored 30 goals. Thinking he's going to be the man that we needed to replace Thierry Henry. And it just never happened for him, did it? I mean, I seem to think he seemed to have a reasonably good time at Spurs. Is that right, Paul, or not really? Did you not really like him?
Obviously, again, you know, at the time, you know, I thought it was a good addition. You know, could score goals. You know, loved rubbing your nose in it when he scored against City. So it was already high up there for me for doing that. You kind of feel like, well, respect. You know, I know a lot of players don't like to celebrate, but that went out the window at the Etihad that day. So, but obviously when I saw him live, he was always committed to the shirt, trying to play the best he could do. But you know, we just needed players that could score goals, and you know, he was certainly fitting the bill at the time. So, you know, Adebayor, again, a shrewd signing for us back then, when what we needed a little bit of more guidance and strength up front, etc. But certainly, on his day, he could be a match winner for both clubs or even City. You know, just it's depending which Adebayor you're going to get, whatever against any opposition. the bet, he scored against Real Madrid in the Champions League when we first made there, and I thought, typical ex-Gooner coming back to haunt us. But then he's had games where he's been shocking for us. So
yeah.
I mean, I thought he was another player that I never really quite pushed on as much as we hoped he had done in his career. And I think again he seemed to fall out with lots of people, didn't he? Wherever he went, people he fell out with. He fell out with people at Arsenal. I think he fell out with people at City. He fell out with Robin van Persie. I know that much, didn't he, when he stood on him?
yeah.
Wasn't it when he ran after him for the pitch? I mean that was just crazy, wasn't it? I mean that was just mental. But clearly he wasn't. It's another one maybe with chip on his job a little bit, although like we mentioned some players before, maybe he was another one perhaps as well, I think. But I don't know what he's up to now. Does anyone know what he's
I think he's still playing over in Africa somewhere. I think I'm sure he's over in Africa somewhere. Yeah, but keeping the kind of the Spurs Arsenal. But there's a couple of memories that I remember of him. It was the goal at White Hart Lane where he took it, swiveled, and he had that swivel. Yeah. That was hell of a finish. That was a really good goal. And then obviously the other memory is when it was one of the 5-2s. I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been the first one when he got sent off. I think he went 2-footed in on Cazorla, didn't he? Yeah, he got sent off. Yeah, so that couple of memories there, Arsenal Tottenham related. But
he scored in that game, didn't he? He scored.
He did. Yeah, penalty. Yeah, and Bale, I think, got the other one, didn't he?
Yeah, Bale. Yeah.
I think he got the other one, but another one that just like Paul said, on his day he could be unplayable. He was on his day he reminded me quite a bit of Drogba. The way he played, that strength just to be able to hold players off. He could finish, but again, he just he had that chip on his shoulder that he couldn't get rid of, and just like you say, he seemed to fall out of everybody, didn't he? I don't know whether that was a thing where he just seemed like he was better than anyone else. I don't know, but and obviously the whole thing at City, that was just. Yeah, I always remember Kolo Touré running after him, trying to get him to stop it, but he couldn't catch him. No, couldn't catch him. But that was good player on his day. But and like you say, he had that season where he was phenomenal, wasn't he? That season that Henry went, and he was just brilliant. But not one that I'll fondly remember, I must admit.
I'm surprised, Paul, that he wasn't as consistent as Drogba. So I'm surprised that a team like Real Madrid went for him.
That was such a bizarre move.
He was fantastic for us, but we were at Real Madrid level. I'm surprised a team like Real Madrid, who were the top team, suddenly goes, we need Adebayor. I didn't see that.
There's a couple of them, though, weren't there, at Real Madrid? Remember when they signed Thomas Graverson?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. They've had a couple of weird signings.
He did
He did all right, yeah. They've had a couple of weird signings like that, haven't they, Real Madrid? But, not one that I'll finally remember, I must admit, Adebayor.
No, I don't think any of us really want to remember him too fondly, do we? So,
nah.
But he did love a goal against Arsenal, though, didn't he, when he left?
He did, yeah. He did.
It seemed to be that seemed to be his ambition in his life after he left Arsenal to score again.
Torment.
He did very bad at Arsenal, didn't he?
Yeah.
From nowhere to somewhere. You know what I mean? Treated really badly.
Yeah, but anyway, what can you do? I mean, he was a nobody when we signed him. We actually made his career.
That's what I'm saying. Treated really badly.
Afterwards, it was unbelievable. Anyway, I don't think we want to dwell too much on that.
No, let's move on.
But I mean, I don't know if you guys can think of anybody else who's played for both clubs, because I couldn't. Oh, Melvin's got one. Go on.
Well, when I was at school, I must have been about 13. Mate of mine told us, "You know what's happening, boys? You're going to, because he was a Spurs supporter, he says, you're lot are signing Jimmy Robertson, and we're going to sign David Jenkins, who was a reserve player, just made his first, played about 5 games for us at the beginning of the season. I went out and told my dad and my uncle who lived with us, both mad Arsenal. They went, shut up, go away." Right? Anyway, next week it happened. Because his father, my friend's father, was worked for a beer company that had alliances with Spurs. And it happened. And David Jenkins, at that time, had scored about 2 or 3 league goals, only about the 5th game into the season. And he scored 3 against Scunthorpe. He scored 1 against the champions then, was Man City. And so Spurs obviously thought, this youngster's coming up. but he never made it. I think he lasted 1 year actually, and Jimmy Robertson only lasted 2 at the Arsenal. But he was a Scottish winger at the time. When playing for Scotland was a big thing. You know what I mean? Not like you had to be a fantastic player to play for Scotland, because every club had great Scottish players in their squads. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I can't believe it. Another one that I remember playing for Spurs and Arsenal. I don't think he played a lot for Spurs, and he didn't actually play a lot for us. Steve Walford.
Oh,
He
yeah.
came on in the Man United Cup final when we won 3-2. In fact, I think he came on when it was 2-0 to us.
Yeah,
So, but he played for Spurs first.
And
Then he went on. The reason I think must have been because Terry Neal was our manager. Terry Neal was Spurs manager, and then went to the Arsenal. And I think that he got Walford over. He got I think Jennings over.
really young.
And I think there might have been one more. I can't think. No, I don't know. It might have been just the 2 of them then. But that was a funny signing, Walford, because he was never. We had Willie Young at the time, so I don't know whether they used him as a reserve or anything. But those are the other players I remember playing for both teams.
I can remember Rowan Ricketts going from obviously yourself to us, but again, young, but unfortunately didn't fulfil his potential. But yeah, that's another one in Paul's eyes.
Did he play for Bolton? Paul?
Yeah.
He played for Bolton, I remember as well.
First team, did he? I know he came through a kind of academy. I don't know if he played, did he, for the first team at Arsenal?
I don't recall him, no.
Maybe a League Cup game he might have done or something like that.
Yeah, probably. I don't think in the top division, whenever that was. No, I don't think he did.
No, I forgot he played for Tottenham as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is one from a long, long time ago that even Melvyn might remember. Jimmy Brain from the 1930s, 1920s.
I know the name, but funny enough, I didn't go then.
He was Arsenal's record goal scorer, and I think he actually left Arsenal to go to Tottenham, and that was at a time when obviously we moved to Highbury, and there was massive animosity between the clubs, and no club would go between Arsenal and Tottenham at that time because of the atmosphere between it, because I was moving into Highbury and that, and I think he was the first player that had actually moved between
what
the
year
clubs.
was that, Richard?
Would have been probably late 20s, maybe.
He missed out then, didn't he? Because the 30s was our first.
Yeah, he left
time
before.
we
He was our record before he left, and then obviously we had that big spell in the 30s where we had other players who Jack Lambert came in, and people like that. Drake, yeah, but he was like before that. I think he was our main striker when Herbert Chapman first came.
All right.
But yeah, he was one of the only players at that time that moved between the clubs because of how much. They really hated each other then. I mean, Tottenham in particular, because we'd moved into their territory, kind of thing. And that's where it all kind of started, a big rivalry.
Yeah, go back to Woolwich.
And that's where it all started, really, wasn't it? So, but he was the first player, I think, the first ever one that actually moved between the two clubs after that point, and it never happened for years. So I don't know. That might actually be all the ones that we've mentioned, maybe the only players ever in history that have actually played between the two. I mentioned from my brother. Who this guy is?
No idea.
Bruno.
Well, it might be. I've got a brother called Warren, but my second name is Marks and not Mars, unless he's missed out the K.
Hey, mate, your brother then, Melvyn? I thought he might have been.
It would be my brother. I've got a brother called Warren, but it's Warren. My second name's Marks, isn't it? You know what I mean? Warren, come on, get those fingers moving.
Get your name right, mate. We might get somewhere. But yeah, I'm assuming that's who it is then. So it must be Melvyn's brother then. He just can't spell. But anyway, he's probably had a few hands like.
He's a very bad speller because his first name's really Peter.
Oh, well, he's struggling with your name. He's only Melvyn. He'll struggle with your name. He's wise in it and all that. Anyway, we'll move on from there. But so yeah, I mean, that sort of history kind of done really. That was quite. I always enjoy those sections of it really, looking back on players and previous games and stuff. But if we sort of come up to date again and move on to Sunday's game, if we maybe look at this. Well, obviously we both played in the Europa League last night, so I'm assuming that both teams are going to make several changes for Sunday. I mean, what are you thinking the Spurs team will be on Sunday? Would you think there'll be many changes from the team that's been playing in the Premier League recently, or will it be similar?
I think it'll be the same kind of nucleus of the team that Jose's been picking. Lloris in goal, probably goes Aurier right back. Then if Toby's fit, centre back would probably Dyer, and then if Serge Reguilon's available, being there on the left. And then we'll obviously Tanguy, then Ndombele, hopefully Bergwijn, Bale, we've got, Sonny, Harry Kane, Celso. We've got, it'll be the same team, I think, personally, that have been playing against City and doing well in the league. And it's down to the likes of Dele and that to try and get in and force their way in, unfortunately, so.
God, that's just depressing. Hey, Tottenham have got a good side there. They've got some good players, haven't they?
Yeah.
I don't want to think about that, actually. That's quite worrying. That's a good side, actually. That is a good side. That's the best Tottenham team I can remember since probably Glenn Hoddle's days. I've got to be honest.
Yeah. Certainly since I've been supporting Spurs, and like I said, I've been supporting Spurs in almost 38 odd years now, and since I was about 4 or 5, and it is one of the nicest nucleus of players. Like, you got quality replacing quality. Where in the past you've had 11 that have been good enough. It's nice now that we can swap players around and have a better, more competition for places. That's what we've been crying out for anyway, going forward. Not really, having the best 11, to having like a nucleus of squad that you're replacing quality with quality. And we've lacked that in some time throughout obviously the Premier League era. But it's nice to see now finally that we're getting level pegging with you all, and we can actually put 2 teams out and give it a good go on all fronts, really.
What's the crack with Dele Alli? What's going on there?
Yeah, no, it's all been highlighted in a documentary about Amazon Prime, about his attitude in training. For me, Dele on his day is amazing. I've loved Dele from the moment we signed him from MK Dons. The spectacular goals he scored against Palace, against himself and the chip over at the Emirates. It's just needs to show what Tanguy and Ndombele did last season, get down, work hard, and get himself into the team, because he's got talent. I want him to seeds. On his day he's unplayable, like Adebayor and the people we discussed previously. It's just some players managers like, some they don't, but it's down to them as individuals to really knuckle down, prove their worth, and hopefully, I'm here in another year's time saying he's back in the team. We haven't sold him, and he's playing amazing again, because not only for us but for club and country, we need him. So.
It always feels like Mourinho, doesn't matter what club he's at, he always has to pick a name, doesn't he? Or it seems like he always picks a name, someone to highlight, a big name player that whether he wants to, maybe whether he just wants to test them, but he seems to alienate a player, doesn't he? Almost at every club he goes to, he seems to pick someone. It feels a bit like that with Dele Alli, but I like him. On his day, he's a good player. I don't particularly like his personality, but he's one of those players that you don't like unless he plays for your team, because he's a bit of a twat, really, isn't he? But
it's just that arrogance.
Yeah,
arrogance.
Yeah, he's a bit too inconsistent for me. But if he can put a bit of consistency together, he's a good player. But a bit odd what's going on there. I don't know whether it's just Mourinho being Mourinho.
Yeah, I think obviously that was highlighted in the Amazon Prime documentary about it. You speak to Daniel Levy saying about it. He's great. That Alex Ferguson recommended him when he was at Old Trafford and wanted us United to sign him. But again, it's just down to individual performances, how you are in training, etc. You've got to be given a chance. Don't get me wrong, and you've got to take it. But again, we're not seeing behind the scenes what's going on. But from a Spurs fan point of view, of course, I want him back playing to his best and scoring goals not only for Tottenham but for England as well. So
just sort of. Going through the Tottenham side there, it does. You can kind of see why they're in the position that they're in. They've got a manager who does know how to win trophies. As much as it pains us to admit it, he does know how to win trophies. And with that side that Spurs have got, I mean, do you actually honestly believe that you've got a chance of winning the league this year?
I haven't been a Spurs fan. I've seen us fail, tottering days, you put it, kind of thing. So, not getting too carried away, but enjoying that we are top of the league and we are putting in performances and a bit of consistency showing. But a long way to go. Things can happen, injuries, etc. If Kane and Sonny suddenly dip in form, have we got the likes of Bale, Vinicius to come in and cover, etc. So, but not getting carried away, enjoying it, and hopefully come the end of the season we've got a trophy and you guys haven't.
Do you think you're in a better position now than when you went to the Champions League final under Poch a couple of years back? You think you're in a better position now?
More organised. Again, it's come down to mentality, and that's what Jose got the likes of Hart in, Højbjerg, people of that quality, and like Bale, for instance. I know his fitness level at the moment isn't where it will be. I think, in time. But you know, what they bring in experience and their know-how. You know, Hart, all right, yesterday wasn't his greatest game with his saves, but you know, if without the fans, you hear what he's saying, commanding on the pitch. You need those leaders on there to help the whole team together. You Dawes, you know, and I, when we played together, you know, shouting 24/7 at everyone. You know, just that togetherness. That get over the line and get a trophy finally in the cabinet.
He is my brother, by the way.
Oh, it is.
Talking about the Ipswich game that we both went to when we got so. We went from Surrey after. That's right, I remember that.
It's good to have your brother on the show as well, which is nice. Just really, I mean, in terms of obviously the way that Tottenham have been playing this season and the prospect of them that we don't want to think about potentially winning the title. This season, to me, has got a lot of similarities with the season Leicester won the league. The bigger clubs have been struggling, dropping points that they wouldn't normally do. There seems to be a little bit of transition going on at Man City. Liverpool have got a lot of injuries. And suddenly you're looking at the fact that maybe this season could be this. I mean, I was thinking at the start of the season that if Arsenal got their act together, there's an opportunity for somebody, apart from Liverpool and Man City, to win the league this year. And obviously after 10 games of the season, you're looking at it, and as much as it pains me to think about it, the most likely at this moment in time does look to be Tottenham or Chelsea possibly, but certainly one of them two at this moment. I know, like you said, it's early days and Tottenham can still do a Tottenham, can't they? There's plenty of time for them to do that, but you know,
done that, yeah.
Maybe that's
it hurts.
Maybe that's the thing that might end up going against Tottenham this year. The fact that they've had a lot of near misses and things, haven't they, in recent years, you know, with the Champions League final in particular and a few other occasions where they've looked like they were going to do something and it never quite happened. But I don't know, I think this year could be different because of Mourinho, and as much as we hate him, there's no denying that he knows how to get a winning team. And like you said, Spurs are more organised now. That'll be down to
definitely.
And you know, it might not always be pretty to watch. But having said that, we can't talk about pretty to watch at the minute because you know, from a neutral point of view, I'm sure most neutrals would rather watch the Tottenham game than watch us at the moment. But you know, Mourinho generally isn't always pretty to watch his teams, but he does know how to get results. So I'm kind of a little bit concerned, I've got to be honest, at where this season might go for Tottenham.
Yeah, and hopefully, you know, we can get there, but
no, we don't want to really think about it. I mean, Melvyn, what do you think? How do you think we'll line up on Sunday? Because I think it's a massive game for us. If we perform as we have done in the last 4 or 5 league games, then we are going to be in trouble. Not only in this game, but looking beyond that as well. I mean, do you think he's going to make a lot of changes, or do you think he'll stick with this kind of similar team the last couple of weeks, which hasn't really worked, has it?
I fear he's going to pick the same team as he's done the last few weeks. Apart from, I don't know if Partey's fit or not, I don't know. But take him out the equation because we don't know. I think he'd play a very similar team. It will worry me if he plays someone like Xhaka again in midfield, because the Spurs midfield they're so fast, that Spurs team. They're bypassing. You won't even know what day it is. We reckon it's Friday afternoon, Xhaka. He will not know what's hit him. And also, if we don't get our attack moving properly, Spurs won't be any under pressure at all, and they're going to fall their hits with everything. So I do fear. The only thing is, with that result last night, I know we're playing a very poor team, blah, 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 but we saw a bit of movement. You know, if we're going to get beat, let's have a bit of movement with it. Let's don't allow teams to come at us so much. It's not as if we have got a better defence than we've had. It's not the greatest defence. I mean, if we're going to play Bellerin and Holding, which you probably will do on the right-hand side, that's alarm bells, absolute alarm bells. With the speed of Son or whoever on the wing, or Bergwijn, sorry.
Yeah.
He is so fast. I mean, Holding's he's very slow. Bellerin gets sidetracked. Down that right-hand side, if he picks those two, I'm fearing the worst. But then again, we're Arsenal. You know what I mean? You sometimes got to shut your eyes and hope for the best. And that's what a minute before kickoff on Sunday, Paul, I'm going to say we're going to win, all right? Not now, but a minute before kickoff, I really do fancy just winning, all right? That's the way it is.
I mean, I think it's a good point actually about our away form. Our away form actually isn't that bad. And it is at home where we struggle. So maybe this game might suit us a little bit better being away from home.
I've got a couple of straws here, Paul. You can
Well, yeah.
Clutching.
Maybe the fact that they've got fans in the ground, as we mentioned before, maybe.
But it is a derby. That's another one. It is a derby. So we're right with Shane.
Form does go out the window.
I'm trying to find something to be positive about, and it's quite hard at the minute. Coming into this game.
Be positive. Minute before kickoff, Richard, I'll be positive, very positive.
I'll be
2
nervous.
minutes after the kickoff, so I'll let you know.
2 days, I'm nervous about it now. When before kickoff, I'll be really nervous. I won't be able to speak. I mean, what do you think he'll do, Dawsey, in terms of the team? Do you think Arteta will make a few changes? Because something needs to change, doesn't it? Whether it's a personnel or the system or something, because we've not been playing very well at all for a while now in the Premier League, certainly.
No, I think the defence almost picks itself really from the players that he's kind of left out. I think Bellerin will come back in. I think it'll be Gabriel and probably Holding if David Luiz isn't fit.
After the way he played last night, because he had a decent game, didn't he?
Problem is then you've got 2 left-footed centre backs, which I don't think, if you're going to play Gabriel as well, I don't think that's going to work. Maybe I don't know how comfortable either one of them is on the right hand side, but Tierney will come in. It's that midfield that concerns me. That's where we've been losing games is in the midfield, and I think if Partey's not fit, and like I said to you early on in the week, Rich, if there's any doubt, don't play him. I know it's a huge game, I know it's massive, but don't risk it. If he's going to pick up another injury and be out for another couple of months, then it's just not worth it. So if he's fit, great. I think that'll make a massive difference. But if he's not, I'm with Melvyn. I wouldn't want to see Xhaka start. I'd probably rather see El Neni and Ceballos. I think probably would be my 2 that I'd put in there. And then it'd be interesting to see what he does up top, because Laka obviously played quite well last night as a number 10, if that was kind of dropping deep a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he puts Laka in there and puts over through the middle with obviously Pepe can't play. Maybe Reece Nelson will come in, but he started last night, so I know you play every 3 days, but yeah, I don't know. It's just that midfield that really concerns me. I'll be over the moon if Partey's fit, but if there's any risk, I wouldn't play him. But yeah, Xhaka.
I feel that maybe last night Maitland has got a shout to maybe start in midfield on Sunday, because I thought he was brilliant last night, actually.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And I think the thing with Maitland-Niles is he can get around the pitch, and that's the problem with someone like Xhaka. He really struggles to get around the pitch. If he's playing in a little space, and I said to you the other day, these players that we've got in midfield aren't necessarily bad footballers individually, but collectively as a midfield, they're probably the worst midfield I've seen. They're awful. I quite like what El Neni does. He keeps everything very simple. He breaks up the play and he gets rid of the ball and lets players that can play. So I'd quite like to see him come in. But yeah, Partey would be a massive lift if he's fit. But we'll see.
No, it would be. Yeah, I mean, but I don't think he's going to play, unfortunately.
No, he might make the bench, but I don't think it'd be
coming out. He's looking like he's probably not going to play, or certainly that seems to be the impression that we're being given. Whether that's just that mind game.
Well, they're saying Kane's not fit, and they're saying that Kane's a down. There's absolutely no. He's not going to miss that game. I guarantee you, he will start 100%.
Talking about Harry Kane, actually, that's when we missed out on the Arsenal and Spurs players, because he started off at Arsenal.
That doesn't count. Yeah. That doesn't count. I don't think that counts. He didn't even play in reserves, did he?
No, he played about 11 or something, didn't he? In the youth teams or something like that, wasn't it? And then he left.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
But I mean, I think the midfield is our problem, but that's why I would actually be tempted to stick Ainsley in there on Sunday.
Yeah, I would as well.
Like you said, the energy that he's got. Him and El Neni actually could be quite a good midfield, because it would give us a bit more ability to get around the pitch, as you said. And have got a good energetic midfield as well. So I think that could be a good player. Maybe that might have been why he played him there last night, to get him a little bit of experience and see how he copes. And you know, it'll be a big call, to be fair, because he's not started in midfield in the Premier League, I don't think, ever for us, or maybe once.
He had one game at Man United, didn't he, away a few years back, and he was brilliant. I think he got man of the match in that game when we wore that horrible.
There again.
Yeah, bizarre, wasn't it? He was brilliant in that game.
Yeah,
Because when we wore that weird blue kit, when it went from light blue to dark blue, he got man of the match in that game. He was superb.
Yeah, no, he did have a good game, but yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a big call if Arteta throws him into midfield in the derby. I mean, but having said that, he's one of the sort of players, isn't he? I do feel as though the players that have come through the ranks at the club, whether it's Arsenal or Spurs, they understand what the game means, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, Harry Kane understands what it means. You know, I think that Ainsley understands what it means as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know, the players in them sort of games that you throw them in because they're not going to let you down. They're going to give 110%, aren't they? They're going to die for the shirt on that day, and that's sometimes what we might need, because I think man for man, I think Tottenham are stronger than us, and we need to show something a little bit extra to get a result. And maybe Ainsley's the type of player that we can throw in, and he can do that. So he could be maybe a little bit of a joker in the pack, if you like, that might get thrown in and do a job for us that we're not expecting, maybe. Because something needs to change, I think. I don't think we can. If we've got Ceballos and Xhaka as our two midfielders, I fear for what might happen to us in this game, because we get overrun, and I fear what might happen. So I'm hoping.
With Maitland-Niles, he wasn't afraid to pick him in big games, was he? Towards the back end of last season, he started in the semi-final. He started in the cup final
as a left back.
Yeah, not in midfield though. That's what I mean.
Not in midfield, but he's ready to pick him for a massive game, despite the fact that maybe he doesn't play regularly. He's got no problem seemingly picking him for big games. So
what I think is quite strange though is when he was playing left back or left wing back, he was drifting into the middle and he was doing a good job then.
Yeah,
so I think he can play there. I think he's got reaction. He's one of those players that can tackle a player standing up. Some players are not very good tacklers and they go to the ground very quickly, as we know. But he can actually stay on his feet and tackle someone and block them off. So I think he'd be fine at midfield. No worries about him at all. No worries.
I think after last night, now I'm almost hoping he does play in midfield on Sunday, because like Dawsey said a few times, we mentioned it before, that is definitely the weakest part of our team at the moment by a mile. You know, defensively we're okay generally. You know, I know the attack isn't working, but the attack's not working because the midfield's not working. The players themselves, the attacking players that we've got, are good enough, I think. Adebayor scores. Aubameyang scores.
Don't mention his name anymore.
Adebayor scores. I said it again. Aubameyang. I'll forget it. But so individually we've got good attacking players. I think Saka as well. He's a good player, isn't he? You know, he can add a bit of quality there. Lacazette, as he showed the other night, can score goals as well. And Nketiah as well is a goal scorer. So it's not that I do think the midfield is our problem. So why not put Maitland-Niles there? He's certainly not going to be any worse, is he? Than what's been going on in the last few games. So I would be tempted just to throw him in, but it's just whether Arteta's got the courage, if you like, because I think that's the one thing about Arteta I've noticed. He seems to lack. He does seem to lack a little bit of courage. He's very setting out not to lose games a lot of the time, as opposed to trying to win games. And I do feel as though this game against Tottenham away, he's going to look at it and think, if we get a draw, that's a decent result. And if we go in with that mindset, I just don't think that's the right mindset to have. I really don't, because I think that Tottenham are going to know that they can win this game. And I think they're going to, Mourinho's got a good record against Arsenal, whoever's our manager. You know, he had the thing over Wenger, didn't he? And obviously he beat us last season as well, towards the end of last season. So I don't know. I just feel as though our mindset could be all wrong with Arteta going into this game. You know, normally you think against Tottenham it's a derby, just go for it. Tottenham will go for it. We go for it. It could be a good game, and we could get a result. But I think we're going to be conservative. We're going to try to keep it tight, and I just don't know whether or not we'll be able to. I don't think we can keep a clean sheet against this Tottenham team. I just don't think we can. And I think the best way that we're going to get a result in this game is probably to try and score some goals, because I think we're going to need to. But
thing is though, if we keep it tight, they're going to score Spurs, and we ain't in the situation where we know we can score 2 goals in a game. We barely score 1. So if they score Spurs, how are we going to get out of that one then? So we can't afford to sit back and let Spurs have a go and at some stage score. We've got to go toe to toe with them, I'm afraid.
I think so, yeah. I think it's our only hope, because like you said, if we sit back, Tottenham have got the quality they've shown this season. Yes, maybe not so much at home, to be fair. I know they had a good result against Man City the last home game, but at home, away from home, they're catching teams on a counter attack, scoring goals for fun, aren't they? 5 at Southampton, 6 at Man United, and whereas at home they're not scoring so many goals. So that may be in our favour slightly, but yeah, we can't. I don't think we can afford to just sit back and let them have the ball. I think we've got to be proactive in this game. I'm not sure we will. That's what worries me. I'm really not sure.
We'll know after 5 minutes, Richard, won't we? We'll know after 5 minutes.
Well, we probably will. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping he does something a little bit different actually this week, whether it's in the team selection, whether it's in a slight tweak to the system. Because I just feel if we play the same way that we did last week against Wolves, the week before against Leeds, the week before that against Aston Villa, then it's playing into Tottenham's hands. And I really fear that it could be a very long 90 minutes for us. I think Paul will probably enjoy it, but I don't think we will.
Like I say, Derby's form goes out the window. It's who wants it most on the day, innit? Battling with each other. Yeah. It's nice from my point of view, finally coming into like games like this that in the past I'd have been panicking. Quite pleased now that we're evil plaguing in terms of players on the pitch. You can hurt us, we can hurt you. So it's going to be a fantastic game. It always is against you guys. And hopefully, as I say, it's us that come out on top.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, we're probably feeling very similar to how you used to feel about these games years back when, we'd come into the game massive favourites. We were maybe top of the league or at the top of the league, and Spurs maybe struggling mid-table or whatever. And that used to be the case a lot of times, didn't it? So, I almost we've almost got a little feel of what it was like to be you guys a few years ago. And it's not very nice, to be honest. I prefer it the other way around.
No, you can stay that way for as long as we can. Keep Reno in charge. Like you say before, you've highlighted it. We're different to where we were under Poch. The style of play is more, compact. We'll hit you on a counter attack with our pace. Whereas Poch, it's free flowing, the old Tottenham way, scoring goals for fun. But at the end of the day, it's all about trophies. I want to see Spurs starting winning trophies on a consistent level. An FA Cup. I love the FA Cup. I want us to see us win that again finally, and maybe a League Cup just to get the guys used to winning on a regular basis. Because being nearly teams and nearly players, you only get one career. Will Kane stay if we don't start winning? I wouldn't blame him if we did leave, but we need as a Tottenham now to go from that nearly club to actually going to being that club to winning trophies, competing with like yourself, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United on a more consistent level, and being favourites every time we're in the on the pitch on all fronts, whether it's Europa, FA, League Cup, or in the league. So long may that continue, where we're competing and we're actually each year improving. That's what's been nice this summer, seeing us addressing the issues that we had last year. Getting in the mentality already in place. Obviously, after the stadium and the lockdown period, everyone was saying about our finances, like yourself. When you first had the Emirates, you didn't go and spend too much. It's been nice from a Spurs fan that obviously they got Bale on loan, they got Hart, they got Højbjerg. Reguilon was something that come out of nothing, that they had a win when they went for him and got him. Vinicius is what we needed. Kane's been, last season, the season before that, the main striker. There was no one to back him up. So it's nice now that we've got a nucleus of players that we can put in at our own disposals with different games, different abilities, and hopefully get that winning mentality in all fronts. So long may I continue being a Spurs fan. That's pushing on. I'll have to admit, I've been in the past where we've been fighting relegation before, and it's nice to be level pegging with everyone now, and people actually threatening us and not actually thinking it's only Spurs, like Man United used to say, with Ferguson, it's only Tottenham guys.
It's a weird one. I don't understand how you've still got money to spend though. The stadium was like half the price, half the cost of what ours was, and we had nothing. We had nothing to spend. It's a bit odd that.
Again, credit to Levy and obviously the what he's done, loans and things like that, and the repayment things. But Joe Lewis has got plenty of money, a billionaire as such. Not to Abramovich's or the sheikhs at Man City, but it's just nice being a Spurs fan and seeing us actually being active in the transfer market and going for players of Bale's quality. Because on his day, again, once his fitness is back to somewhere where we know he can be unstoppable. And I love Gareth anyway. He's always in my heart. Like every Spurs player that's played for us, I'll always have a special place in my heart. So
the thing is, though, you say spending money, Paul. It's not only that, you've actually spent money well. I mean, the left back you bought, I'm very impressed with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard anything before. be honest with you, never heard of him. And every game I've seen him play, he looks absolute quality.
Yeah.
The only issue with that one is that unfortunately Real Madrid have got the option to buy back, in the next couple of years. So, but then we've thought ahead, and Sessegnon's gone to Hoffenheim, and he's getting some game under his belt there, kind of thing. So, like a ready-made kind of player, but like an Ashley Cole kind of thing. If he does decide to go in the future, we've got someone that can step in and be just hopefully as good. So.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah. I mean, I've had enough of Tottenham now. But,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was an Arsenal podcast.
It's depressing.
Arsenal podcast, isn't it?
You're right.
You're
right about all of it, but it just depresses me listening to it. But anyway.
I'll keep quiet.
No. I mean, to be fair, I mean, we had a long time. I mean, to me, Tottenham have always been, like you described there, a sort of nearly club, haven't they? Throughout my whole time watching football, they've always had a good side, they've had good players, but they've never quite been able to go to that next level and win trophies on a regular basis. And that's always what Tottenham have been. And suddenly now, maybe since reaching that Champions League final, I think maybe it's changed a little bit. I think now the expectations at the club have changed a little bit now, because getting to a Champions League final is a difficult thing to do. I mean, we've managed one, and we've never got near it since. And it is difficult to do. And I don't know whether maybe that's sometimes maybe that can be what the click is maybe for Spurs, and maybe now they are going to be taken a little bit more seriously. But we'll see. I mean, it is still early days in this season. Like I said, there's still time for Spurs to do a Spurs and finish 10th or something. But
trust me, I never want to feel that feeling again. Walking down Seven Sisters, once the Champions League was gone. I was at the game at the stadium watching it live, and it's erased from the memory now. I can't really, it's a blur, but at the time, just to even get there was amazing. And it's like, right, the VAR at City, the comeback at the Amsterdam Stadium against Ajax. I really thought it was our year, but again, it's just that mentality of getting over the line and getting that trophy. We can all say about the Sissoko handball. On any given day, it can be given, can't be given, but it's.
If you want to talk about the Champions League final, well, you've come to the right place, because we've got stories in our Champions League final, the disasters that went against us on that particular day.
Yeah, that goal you scored against Ajax, mate.
When we got to the Champions League final, we'd been invincible 2 years before. We had a great side that had been successful. So almost like we went there, and it was a great achievement to get there. We had a few injuries that season, but we kind of expected to win, And I think maybe Tottenham's mentality was, like you said, just to get there was a fantastic achievement, and it was. Yeah. And maybe you were unfortunate you played Liverpool. Maybe if you'd played maybe a team from outside of England, you could have won, which would have been a real disaster from our point of view. If that's the one thing, the two things that we've got over Tottenham is the Premier League that we've got, and the fact that you've not won the Champions League either. And we want to win it. We're going to win it. We need to win it first. I mean, Chelsea kind of beat us to it as well, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah.
So there's no way that Spurs can win the Champions League before us. We just can't allow that to happen.
Let's say if it is. I can do a bit of blaming with Dawsey and people that I know that other Spurs fans like. Arsenal fans, but
you'll never speak to me again. I'll never speak to you again if that happens.
That's the only thing. I mean, if Spurs were to win the Premier League, right, as much as that would hurt us all, at least we can say, well, we've won it 3 times. So we've already done it. And you're just copying us. But the Champions League is something that we've never won. So you can't win that before us. We just can't let that happen. We'd have to actually, if you were like minutes away from winning it, we'd have to make sure that the game didn't finish. We'd have to do something. Some sort of global pandemic or something would have to happen. We just couldn't allow
I might become a chef, Richard.
I'll become a chef.
Yeah, maybe some lasagna.
We definitely we wouldn't be allow that to happen. It's impossible. So Premier League would be bad enough, and we definitely don't want that to happen. But the fact that we've won it before,
a long way to go.
Yeah, there's a long way to go. There's 28 games still, which 2 of them are against us. So that's 6 points that you're going to drop straight away. So
hopefully that's 6 points gained.
But that might perhaps be a good time to. Well, this is going to be fun, isn't it? What are we thinking about this, Melvyn? I'll come to you first, because I know you're going to be optimistic and say we're going to win 5-0.
Not 5. I reckon. I think what happened very early on, like Rosicky, we're going to get a very early goal. Very early goal. defend for a long, long time, and I think it'll be 1-1, and that's holding on right near the end. I think we'll have I don't know how we're going to get a goal. I don't know whether VAR will be done before the game starts.
It's going to have to be a
But,
penalty.
I don't know. It could be. Whatever happens, we nick a goal, and I think they're going to hit us and hit us and hit us, and we'll come out of it till the last round. Then they're going to score a goal and we'll have hold on. That's at the moment. That's the best I can hope for. I'm sorry, and that's me being positive.
Well, that is quite positive. I've got to be honest. I mean, Dawsey, what are your kind of thoughts? Do you think we can actually win this game just for a laugh?
It's just for a laugh. It's such a difficult one to call, isn't it? Because, like you said, away from home, we've done all right. We haven't done too bad. We seem to be set up better to play away from home in these bigger games than we are at home. But Mourinho, on the other hand, he knows exactly how to set teams up for these big games. These are where he gets his points. So it's a difficult one to call. I've got to be honest. I can't see any way we can win it. I just can't see it because, like you said, we're not scoring, and I can't see them not scoring. So I just can't see us winning it. Kane will get his obligatory goal that he gets against us in every single game that he plays against us, whether that be a penalty or hurling it in.
He scored last year, did he? That game that we lost 2-1.
I think that was the first one for a while. He's not scored in, but I'm a bit on the fence like Melvyn. The best I can hope for and trying to be positive is something like a 1-1. I don't think there'll be a lot of goals because I think it'll be a game that neither team will really want to lose. So I think any result really, but I just can't see us not conceding. I'm going to go 1-1 just because I don't want to tell you guys that we're going to lose.
I want to put this score prediction up on the screen because Hussein usually says we're going to lose every week, and this time he says we're going to win. So he's been right every other week because we keep losing, and this time he says we're going to win. So it's like optimism actually that we might actually win.
But you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Aubameyang went and got hat-trick. You know, that's the thing with these games. You know, he is clinical enough to only need one chance to get a goal. So there's, but I just, I can't see there being a lot of goals in it. I'm going to go 1-1, but I think my alternative prediction would be 2-1 Spurs.
We don't want to hear that.
No, well,
if Partey's out to play, it'll be a long 90 minutes. Yeah. Well, you think maybe Ainsley at right back there might not be a bad idea instead of Bellerin. He's better defensively, isn't he, Ainsley, than Bellerin probably. So that could be another option. Maybe we'll see. I'll go on in, Paul. What's your prediction? We don't really want to know, but we'll have to ask you anyway.
I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. I think it'll be a tight game, but I think, like last season, neither team will want to give anything away. But I'm hoping again, Kane, Son link up well, get a couple of goals, and we just again our defence can be temperamental with their defending. So it's highlighted that we need to strengthen in like the defensive side of it, more central. But I think 2-1 Spurs just.
I can't see past Kane and Son at the moment. Them two are absolutely on fire at the moment. Them two, aren't they? So I just
yeah, they are.
But like I said, like I said previously, form does go out the window. It's a derby. Anything can happen. We didn't particularly play great yesterday. I hope it's not that team that turns up and it was a team that played against City. But what I've liked about Spurs this year is we step up against the big teams, but we actually now get results against like the West Brom games where, normally would have lost them. We're actually now managing to grind out those kind of, and Burnley, like the not so great games, and we managed to still get the 3 points. So that's what's another good, pleasing thing for myself and probably Spurs fans are that, even though we can step up against the big teams, sometimes it's the lesser teams that do sit back and you've got to defend for your life, and we're managing to overcome them. So, I hope we go guns blazing Sunday at the new stadium, not the Lane, but always be the Lane to me. But we can come out on top.
This is quite interesting here. So if Bellerin plays and Partey doesn't, it'll be 4-0 to Spurs. If Partey plays, 2-0 to Spurs, and if Partey plays and Bellerin doesn't, it'll be 1-1. So there you go. There's a few options only involving Partey and Bellerin. I don't know what the other 9 players are going to be doing. It just seems to be between them two at the minute. But this is a difficult game to predict, isn't it? Because one, it's a local derby, and they generally are.
It is.
The amount of draws that there's been, particularly in the away game for us over the years, It's been a draw a lot of times, and I don't know. I want to think that we can at least get a draw. I want to kind of think that Melvyn is going to be right, or maybe Dawsey is going to be right. But I don't see why we can't win. I just can't see where the goals are going to come from. That's our problem. I think it's going to be a very tight game. I agree, and I don't think there's going to be a lot to choose either way. And it's just going to be maybe a lot of these games are quite small margins that we've just come the wrong side of. Last week against Wolves, there wasn't a lot in that game. We didn't play great, but we had 1 or 2 chances. We could have got a result against Leeds to 0-0. We had a couple of chances with 10 men. We could have nicked it, and we didn't. And it is quite small margins that we've been in. Maybe one week, these little small margins are going to go in our favour. The ball might bounce in off someone's back of someone's head. We get a lucky goal, and then Tottenham just can't score. Kane it's the bar, it's the post, and they just can't score. You never know. And I want to go into it thinking that might be the case. I'm not particularly optimistic that it will be, but it could happen. And if Arsenal show a bit more fight because it's a derby, then we've got a chance. But I don't think I can be optimistic enough to predict that we're going to win, unfortunately. But I'm gonna say it'll be a draw as well. I actually think it might be 2-2, just because I know we struggle to score goals, and you can't think how we're going to score 2 goals. But say it's a derby, you just never know. And I just feel as though there's going to be goals in it, because I think Spurs will score. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think we can keep a clean sheet in this game. But I just feel as though if Dyer's playing in defence, there's a chance that we could score a goal as well. Because I don't think that's not his natural position, I don't feel, and I think he's maybe the weak link in the back four for Tottenham. How do you think he's been playing there, actually, Paul, overall? Because he's been playing there quite a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, obviously, Joe says obviously had a discussion with him in the past about what his best position was, but I think himself, he sees himself as a centre-back. He's played on the right before when he first joined us from Sporting Lisbon, and then into midfield as a holding midfielder. But hopefully Jose, with his tactics and Deadly King helping him, nurturing him, we have a better Dyer than people can probably make out, kind of thing. But again, can make mistakes like anyone. Anyone's human. Any given time it could be a foul or something. He did it against Man United, didn't he, for a Pogba kind of thing. So hopefully not. And I want to see the best of my players. So hopefully he has a solid game like the rest of the other Spurs players out there, and we come on top. So. But like you say, defence at the moment, looking on our paper, is where we need to strengthen in the summer or whatever. Maybe 1 or 2 quality centre backs to replace obviously Jan Vertonghen leaving. Toby, I love as well. But I would rather have had Toby a bit more down the line when he was younger, because I think he would have been on top of his game a bit more than Mourinho uses him, kind of thing. So
yeah. What did you make of Eriksen leaving? I want to ask you about that. Christian Eriksen, what did you make of that?
Gutted to see him go. His ability was amazing, towards the end of last season, I thought when he left, we lacked that spark of creativity. Lo Celso's come in and is going to be good. I think it's that foreign player coming into the league, trying to adapt. I think we'll see the best out of Lo Celso, but the players have been scouted by our recruitment on a number of months and over the time. So in them, I trust, and hopefully, we can see the best out of all the players they've recruited for the next couple of seasons. So
the only thing I can hope for is that Eric Dyer seems to be one of those people that maybe pumps himself up a little bit too much for one of these games and does something stupid and gets sent off. So maybe he'll do something like that. Maybe he'll do something like that for us.
There was that game at the Emirates a couple of years ago when he scored and he celebrated by the Arsenal substitutes, didn't he? And there was all that kind of stuff on there.
Ramsey, was it Aaron Ramsey?
Yeah,
Ramsey, Dele Alli, wasn't it? Dele Alli, them having a little scuffle.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. We want to see that, don't we? As a North London derby, you want to see a bit of that.
You want to see players with passion.
Yeah, they used to be sending off all the time in that game, didn't they? At one time, it used to generally be someone would get sent off. I mean, we've had a few over the years, haven't we? I remember that game actually in White Hart Lane a few years ago. I think we drew 2-2 then, and who was it got sent? Was it Flamini got sent off? Somebody did, didn't they?
Yeah, Flamini.
Sanchez scored, didn't they? We made it 2-2 somehow.
Him and Ramsey. Ramsey scored that flick, didn't he? And then Sanchez, and then Sanchez scored. Yeah, I think it was Flamini that got sent off.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of players used to get sent off in this game. Not so much in recent years, though. I can't remember.
Remember Robson? Richard, Stuart Robson got sent off.
Oh, he did, yeah. I remember that one, yeah.
That was against Roberts. He clattered Roberts twice.
We win 2-0 that day.
And he lived to tell the tale, which is a shock.
We won 2-0 that day as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think we actually won with 10 men as well that day, as it goes. Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember that game actually at White LA? Just come to me. You mentioned Graham Roberts. There was one game when Tottenham were, I think they were in the title race. It was about April. I think it was about 85 it was. And we were winning 1-0. Charlie had scored for us. And we were terrible there. We were like about 8th or 9th in the table or something like that. Tottenham were like in the top 2 or 3. And we were winning 1-0. I think the last minute, Spurs had a penalty in front of the away end. Graham Roberts took it. He's hit the penalty. He's hit the crossbar. And we've got the ball on the breakaway and scored a second goal up the other end.
I remember that, yeah.
Remember that? I think it was 85 it was. That was unbelievable. Yeah. He hit a penalty. It was in front of the Arsenal fans at that end of the pitch in the last minute when Spurs were 1-0 down, and they needed a win. And he smashed it against the bar, and we break away. I think it was Talbot scored our second goal, and we won 2-0. It was bedlam outside the game that night. Like
I can imagine.
After that game was fun, let me tell you.
I remember Roberts kicking Charlie Nicholas into the crowd at Highbury one game near where the players come out.
Yeah,
God, that was mental, that game.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Graham Roberts, he was a character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't take any prisoners.
No, I think Ian Wright break, was it Gary Mabbott's nose in one of the games? Turned around about halfway line, I think, turned around and whacked him one. I think he got sent off for that. I think he broke his nose in that game, I think.
Really? I don't remember that.
It was probably 96, 97. I'll see if I can dig it out. I'm sure he broke his nose. He was chasing him and pulling his shirt, and Wright just turned around like that and whacked him, and I think he broke his nose in that game. I think he got sent off. He must have done. I'll have a look. I'll find it and dig it out. I definitely remember it happening. I don't think I dreamt it.
I don't remember that.
I
remember Wright getting sent off against Tottenham. I mean, he might have done. He had a few. He was a bit fiery, shall we say, wasn't he? Right, he wasn't shy, was he, when it came to like that?
I remember him getting sent off against Forest away.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that one. That was Stuart Pearce, wasn't it? Was it Stuart Pearce was manager that day, wasn't he? Was that
That's right? Yeah, that's right.
And they beat him, didn't they? In the end, he'd scored actually with 1-0 up, and he scored and then got sent off, and then we lost.
Yeah, we got beat. Yeah. Yeah,
he was a bit fiery when he but what a legend. But anyway,
I'll dig that out somewhere. I definitely remember it happening.
He got a few goals against Tottenham in his Arsenal career.
Yeah, he scored against us, didn't he?
He always seemed to pop up with one. A bit like Harry Kane, I guess, the other way around, isn't it? He always seems to get a goal in a derby. But them sort of players know what it's about, don't they? They understand it, and that's why I think they step up in them games at crucial times, don't they? And that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the blood.
We don't have one at the moment, I think, who's got that in them, really. I know we've got a few young lads that's come through the system, but you don't get the impression that they've got that in them, that they understand what the North London derby really means. You know, probably Tottenham have it, actually. I mean, apart from Harry Kane, there's not sort of many other Tottenham players that you can look at and think, yeah, they probably get it. But, you know, I think all the foreign players that's come in, it's watered it down a little bit, hasn't it? It's not the same as it used to be when, you know, Arsenal used to have the whole team had come through the academy. Tottenham did as well, and everyone understood what it meant, you know. And I don't know if they do so much anymore, really, but it means the same to the fans, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? Whether the players think it or not, it means everything to the fans. And
it does.
I've never enjoyed an Arsenal Spurs game ever in my life. I've never enjoyed it. One, you can enjoy it at the time for 90 minutes, and even the week before, it's a nightmare. And the 90 minutes are a nightmare. If you lose, and it's bad for 6 months until you play again.
It is, and it's the first fixture I always look on the calendar when they're announced in June. Where are we playing? Where we are, home or away first. You know, it's embedded. It's in your DNA. You know, if you're a Spurs fan, you want to beat Arsenal. You want to beat Spurs. So, like I say, I'm only hoping for one outcome, and it's the North London and the white and the blue, not the Gooners, that are winning. So.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I've got to be honest, this is probably one of the least confident I've been going into a North London derby in my life, probably, I would say, just in the form that we're in, the form that you're in. And I know that sometimes doesn't make a difference in a derby, but it still plays in your mind. You keep thinking Tottenham are playing well, we're not playing well. Tottenham are scoring goals, we're not scoring goals. Everything is pointing towards a complete disaster for us. But this will be the day probably where it won't go like that. It will be a completely different game. So from our point of view, I know you won't be hoping that, but I know we will. It's a one-off game, isn't it? If we play like we did in the one-off cup games last season, put a performance in like that, we can do because we've done it. That's what we need to do, and we can get a result. But I'm not confident we'll be able to do that. But we'll see. Hopefully, we're all wrong, and we do, and Arsenal win. Maybe it might be that the 5-0 Melvyn. The one when Alan Sunderland scored a hat trick. Maybe we'll have another one of them maybe this week. What do you reckon?
Yeah, if that flying pitch just come past my window.
Yeah, well, you never know. That's the last hat trick actually in an Arsenal Spurs game, I think, isn't it? The Alan Sunderland one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Everybody's got in either team, and that was 42 years ago. So not very often you get a hat trick, is it? Even Kane hasn't made a hat trick in a North London derby.
Not yet.
I was playing out Richard.
Actually, yeah, I said that, should I? That was. I'll take that back.
Schoolboy era.
Yeah. I can't believe you managed to go a whole nearly 2 hours without mentioning Henry's goal at Highbury, the one where the statue made in that celebration. What a goal that was. That was at home. This is away. So I know.
We've got to play them at home later on, so that we can talk about all the sort of Highbury memories maybe then a little bit more. But this is obviously away where we haven't made. Oh no, we scored some great goals away at Tottenham over the years. That one you said Ramsey scored that flick. That was a great goal.
Yeah, it was a good goal. That
one as well, didn't he? A few years back, I think we lost that game actually, but Ozil scored a good goal, didn't he?
Yeah,
one of them games against Spurs. So yeah, I mean, it's what it is, isn't it? It is going to be tense, and we're just going to have to hope that we can come out and not. All I want is that we put in a good performance. The performance that we haven't managed to put in, that the players showed a fight, and that they showed that it does actually mean something to them this game. And I think that's what we want. And if we do that and we still happen to lose, then you can hold your hands up and say fair enough, maybe. But if we lose without showing that fight that we should be showing in this game, that's when it's going to be a problem. And that's when I think questions might start to be asked more of Arteta, who maybe at the moment I don't know what you guys think. Actually, I was going to ask you about this because I don't know if we mentioned it last week. Unai Emery was kind of not really given a massive amount of chance when things started to go wrong. He had maybe 6 or 7, 8, 9 games in a row that didn't go well, and we got rid of him. Arteta seems as though we're giving him more time as a fan base. The club seems to be. Was that a mistake to get rid of Unai Emery that quickly? Do you think?
I don't think so, because I think it was quite obvious the players are down tools.
You don't think they have now?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think they just lost a lot of confidence. I think they'd like to get it right, but they just can't. I don't think the Arsenal players under Emery wanted to get it right. I think they just said, no, we're not having you, mate. You're going to go one way or the other. You're going. I mean, I think someone mentioned it against Southampton at home. Last minute equaliser by Lacazette at home. Looked like he was upset he scored. Kept the manager in for another week. So,
well, he didn't
I think there is a difference.
Yeah. There you go. Look, your brother's back, Melvyn. He won't be happy, will he? He definitely won't be happy if we win. That'll be quite interesting to watch that. Actually, I'll quite enjoy that if that's the case. Do we think Mari might start? I should say that. I think he might because I thought he looked decent last night. I know the opposition were poor.
He was okay.
He game, didn't he? He scored. He had a steady game defensively.
He was okay.
I think
Richard,
it's just
he didn't play against the centre forward, did he? In all fairness, he's good on the ball. When he's got time, he's good on the ball. He can hit 50, 40-yard balls. Brilliant. His positional play is quite good because he's not very fast. But I'd like to see him against, if it didn't matter, against a good team, not Spurs necessarily, a good team, and see how he plays against them. And to play the two left footers, I suppose it could work. It might work because Gabriel played in the middle before. Remember? I don't know what game it was. Gabriel has played in the centre before in the back.
Yeah, he played in the centre a couple of times. Yeah, when
I'm not worried about that at all. Mari's got to prove a little bit more, in my opinion.
The problem I find is, I agree that Mari's not played enough games for us yet. He's only played about 4 or 5. But the alternative seems to be if David Luiz can't play, which is unlikely because of his head injury, what's the alternative? Holding. You can't tell me Holding's going to do any better against Harry Kane and Son than what Mari could, necessarily. I'm not sure.
I'll tell you what, I know he's not played all season. You could say, well, what about Socrates? You could say Mustafi, you could say Chambers, because Holding at the moment is not doing his job. I'm sorry.
No, he's been very shaky, and I would be worried if he plays. I will be worried because obviously, you know, Tottenham's attackers are decent, and I think that they've got pace and they're clever, and that's where Holding struggles against. He's quite good in a physical battle. You'd back him in a physical battle, but when it comes to tricky, quick players, you know, Son will just have him for dinner. He will, and
show him the ball, kick it past him, and say, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, like that when he got that penalty at the Emirates. Was it last season or season before? That was Holding, wasn't it? He just like.
I thought it was slightly unlucky Holding that day with that penalty.
Yeah, he was, but you could see what the problem was. The problem was Son's done him good and proper, and he was chasing back, and then you're always in trouble, aren't you? When you're running back towards your own goal, trying to chase an attacker, you always got a likelihood of giving away a penalty. And it would worry me if Holding plays, unfortunately. Is Mari ready for this game when he's not played hardly any game for 6 months?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure. It just, that position, if David Luiz can't play, which it doesn't look like he will, then I think that's a problem. And Mari, to me, might be the best option that we've got, you know, because just looking at who's available, you know, Chambers hasn't played. You wouldn't throw Chambers in as much as,
no,
you know, he's not played.
Mustafi?
Well, he got absolutely roasted last season, didn't he, in that game against Tottenham?
He did. He had a wonderful 20 minutes, didn't he? Oh,
yeah. So I don't know. That position does concern me, and maybe Mari, now he's fit, play him maybe, because he's certainly not going to be any worse than the other options that we've got. If David Luiz can't play, I would say. We should
have bought is that French centre half, that 19-year-old we should have signed. He would have been perfect for us.
Yeah, he would have been. Yeah. Yeah,
where did he go to?
I don't know.
Imagine if that was the one game he did end up picking him in.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to put too much pressure on your kid, but get your boots on.
Well, again, he can do a lot worse than what the other options are.
I know. I agree.
I don't understand why he's not played more.
That's a mystery.
I don't understand what's going on.
They'll make a film out of that in a few years' time. The mystery of Saliba.
I'll tell you what we need. I think we need an Amazon Prime documentary on us, because Tottenham had one and they've come out of it quite well.
Yeah.
Aren't they? You know, I know it didn't do a lot for Man City, to be fair, the one that they had, but Leeds had one, didn't they? And, you know, they've got promoted on the back of after that. So I think maybe that's what we need. I think we should get an Amazon Prime documentary on us, and then the season after, we'll be fine. We'll end up winning the league, probably. But you've got to try anything to turn this around, really. And if it means doing that, then why not? What did you make of that, actually, Paul, as a Tottenham fan? What did you make of that documentary? Because I actually quite enjoyed it. I've got to be honest. I thought it was entertaining TV.
Oh, I loved it. I love seeing the behind the scenes of how the players are on a daily basis, the camaraderie, the managers. You know, you don't see it when you're in the stadium. You only see the players for the 90 minutes, and then you go home and then you just see them training clips every now and then. So it's nice to see how it's all run, and, you know, a better insight of the club that, you know, us Spurs fans know and love. So I loved it from the moment it started to the time it finished, you know, and I've watched it on repeat time and time again just to really see, you know, you see players like interviews, but when you're there and you're seeing them, you know, Danny Rose, unfortunately, you know, that incident with him going into saying about the gaffer, you know, Mourinho about, you know, I'm better than what I am kind of thing. And now he's, you know, unfortunately not even in the first team equation now. You know, Ericsson again, like you said before, didn't want to see him go, but understand he's been loyal. You know, one of the different challenge wasn't about money. But again, you know, from a Spurs fan point of view, you didn't see Levy saying to him, you know, we want you to stay kind of thing, you know. So that was a good insight. You know, you just think our agents, you know, want to sell him. But, you know, it was good to see that, you know, they had our interest as a club at heart with, you know, negotiations that we don't want to lose you. This is down to yourself kind of thing. So I loved it. I loved it from the moment I watched it right until the very last episode. So, and obviously,
I enjoyed it. Yeah. No, I thought it was entertaining. I must admit, I really did enjoy it. And I don't think it matters what club it is necessarily. Like you said, getting that insight into what goes on behind the scenes that we don't see as fans usually, and it is really interesting to see that. And You know, I've
Exactly.
pretty much I think I've watched them all the clubs that's had them because I do think it's fascinating. And maybe if Arsenal was to do it, it'd be really good. I don't know, but yeah, I did enjoy the Tottenham one. I think the Tottenham one was the best one. I got to be honest, out of all the others that I've seen, better than the Man City one, better than the Leeds one, better than the Sunderland one. I just thought it was the most entertaining one actually. Which obviously it would have been worse if they'd actually won something that season. Would have not been so good. So it made it better probably. Chambers then it'll be right back, not centre back. Yeah, maybe possibly we need a new right back because I don't think.
Not for me.
Quite up.
Not for me. He ain't a right back. We've played him there a few times, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have played him there. It's not his best position, I don't suppose, but
no way. No, he can't turn quick enough.
No, but then again, can Bellerin.
No.
This is a problem we've got. But anyway, well, I mean, thanks a lot, guys, for coming on. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for everyone for watching and everyone in the chat. Melvyn, you become a bit of a regular. You know, with your tales of the past, I love as well, which is always good. All that history like that, going back a long way, which is great. So, where can people find you on social medias and stuff?
Well, it's going to be Melvyn. The only way is Arsenal. Mars.
Yeah, it's got to be Mars.
Thank you, Richard. I really enjoy these things. Takes me down memory lane. Gets the old dead brain cells working. So yeah, I love it. Thanks a lot.
You always got some great stories that I love. So it's always a pleasure to everyone. And Dawsey, of course, as well. Back on again. Always love having you on as well. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, just my Twitter is just below there. So at Dawsey2801. So yeah, just head over and drop me a follow. But yeah, thanks again for having me on, Rich. Really enjoyed that. It was nice to get the perspective of the other side, if you like.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying it. The last 2 weeks, we've been getting people on from the other team that we're playing, and it is good to hear the other kind of side of the story, really, because it is difficult to come out of your own club sometimes, and you only see things from your own perspective. And it is good to hear, even if it happens to be Spurs gloating a little bit about being quite good at the moment, we have to suffer it for a little while, and it's great. But it's been great to have you on, actually, Paul. It's been a pleasure, and it's really good to to get other perspectives on it, and it's nice to see Tottenham fans being human as well for a change, which is quite unusual. So
again, Rich, thanks for having me on the show, and Dawsey as well. He said about having a sensible Spurs fan on. I said, "You sure you wanted me to come on?" But
the best I've got. Well, put it this way, Paul. It was you.
Down, mate.
No, it was you or David O'Rourke. There's only one option there. I'm not having David on there. Not a chance. No
I
chance.
just want to shout out, wishing Raul Jimenez a speedy recovery, and my condolences to everyone associated with Arsenal, with obviously Heavy D and things like that as well. Football aside, spending my love and thoughts to everyone who's connected with Arsenal and his family as well. For the sudden tragedy of his loss of life things.
Top man.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah,
good call. Right call.
Echo that. Yeah, I'll say thanks for coming on, Paul. It has been a pleasure.
No, my pleasure.
Where can people find you on social media, assuming you want them to? Bear in mind, most Arsenal fans don't watch this, so you probably know.
If you want to come and visit me, it's Paolo Di Ido, following on Twitter. So yeah, if you ever need another ex-Gid to come back on again for the repeat match, give me a holler. I'll happily come on and we can discuss Sunday game and then obviously dissect games in the past. So you need me anytime, I'm here.
Depends on what the score is on Sunday, to be fair.
Okay. You're following me now, so you wait. There'll be tweets coming galore throughout the game. So
it'll be good. It'll be good anyway. So, but no, it's great for everyone. I say, of course, you can come back on again. We can discuss other stuff, football as well. I mean, what I will be looking at doing as well. I'm trying to organise a general kind of football show where I'm going to get fans on from lots of different clubs and discuss all things to do with football from, not just from Arsenal, just all clubs, So I'm going to try and get some stuff like that sorted out in the next few weeks, actually, just because I think it's quite good to reach out to other clubs as well. And it is nice. I've enjoyed getting the other clubs' perspectives on stuff as well, which is good. So I'm going to try and get something organised over the next few weeks. So, you're welcome to maybe drop in on that as well. That could be quite good as well,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, anytime.
About stuff that's going on in the world of football at this moment in time. Obviously, there's lots of stuff happening, isn't there? Lots of stuff to discuss that doesn't just involve our clubs. It's just football in general. So I'll maybe try and get that organised. So yeah, we'll look at that as well. But in the meantime, I'll say thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Obviously, the Arsenal Misfit. Obviously, Melvin's brother, of course, who was the star of the chat tonight. And Hussein, of course, a bit more optimistic this week about the result, which is nice. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching as well. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel as well. I will be doing a watch along on Sunday for the game for as long as I possibly can stand it for. It's going quite badly wrong. I don't know if I can survive the whole 90 minutes, but we'll see. I'm going to attempt to do it, and you know, it might end up being quite good. So if you haven't, if you're not doing anything else, nip over and watch that maybe. I'm going to try. I want to cover the Arsenal women as well because they're playing Birmingham, but I don't know if I can get a stream to watch the game. And it's quite difficult to do a watch along if you can't actually see the game yourself. So I'm gonna, if I get some sort of stream of that game, I will do a watch along of that as well. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Steve. Yeah, thanks for watching. So thanks for our saying the chat, everyone like that. Thanks for watching the channel. Look forward to this game. Well, I still look forward to the game on Sunday as much as you can possibly look forward to a game like this, and hopefully. Come Sunday evening, we'll still be able to speak to Paul at least. If
come on, you Spurs.
I don't know if Dawsey will speak to you again if you beat us on Sunday. But
no,
I've had many years of Dawsey abusing me over Spurs Arsenal games. You know, it's fine.
Yeah.
As I said, you know, you don't know, but we used to play football together at the same local team. So I've known Dawsey for a long time, and I've seen many a games where he's been taking the pee out of me when Arsenal have beaten Spurs. So
yeah, I suppose you're entitled to the odd little one once in a while. I guess.
Yeah, let them have their moment.
Yeah,
let them have their moment.
We're very fleeting. We know.
They come and go, don't they?
Let him enjoy this until Sunday when he'll be crying on Sunday night.
We'll see. I just want to say thanks to everyone. You know, no one abusing me on any tweets or things like that. I thought I'd be like Tottenham tick, get him off, boo, you know, kind of thing. So everyone watching, thank you for being so supportive and not being abusive towards me.
No chance.
You wait till Sunday night.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'll be turning the phone off if we lose. Don't worry.
Yeah. Probably will, yeah.
Nice.
A big, as I say.
But let's wait.
Aside, rivalry, you know, aside, anyone can win any given game. It's just who goes up on the day who wants it more, and may it be a great game with lots of goals. And as I say, it's us at the end that are getting the 3 points. But
well, we'll see. Let's just hope we'll enjoy it anyway. I say obviously there's going to be some fans there as well. The first obviously game that Spurs have had in their ground with fans in the season, so it'll be a good experience for them. I'm sure we had it.
A good atmosphere.
It was good. I say it was a lot better than I would anticipate it was going to be. So let's just hope it doesn't give us any more of an advantage on Sunday than they've already probably got from having, as I said before, having probably a better team than us in the first place. Let's hope that somehow we can find of evening that up and finding a way to change it, but we'll see. But I say it was going to be a good game, and let's just enjoy it. That's the main thing. And we'll all be back next week to dissect it back on here. Hopefully it will be a positive podcast next week. Hopefully it can be positive because there'd be nothing more positive than the team top of the league away from them. So it'll be a long time since we've done that, probably actually.
Yeah.
I have to check the records. Actually, Melvin might know. I don't know. Last time we won away at the team that were top of the league, it'll be a long time, won't it?
Oh dear.
Be a long
I
time.
can't think. Was Liverpool ahead of us when we beat them 2-0? Were they at top of the league? They must be at top of the league.
The back end of last season?
No, I'm talking about
away from home. I mean,
away from home. We beat them at Anfield.
That was
the league.
Was that one early in the season when Cazorla scored? You on about?
Oh, last game of the season.
Oh, then
They must have been top.
That was 30 odd years ago.
Yeah, but I'm no spring chicken, am I?
Is that the last time?
What about the City game?
Not the last time I can remember at the moment, but
that was probably the last time. You're probably right. That probably was the last time, actually.
What about the City game at the Etihad? We won 2-0. Were they top of the league then?
I don't think they were top.
I think they were. No, they were top.
Chelsea won the league that year, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So you've got a fan there, Paul, in the chat. The Arsenal Misfits enjoyed you. So
yeah, thank you, mate.
So yeah,
nice one.
There's always one who has to spoil it, isn't there, for everyone else? But no, yeah, everyone, and it's good. I say hopefully we'll all enjoy the game Sunday, and we can all be friends again on Monday. Let's hope.
Always.
Thanks for everyone for watching. Thanks a lot for tuning into the channel. I say come and join me for the watch along on Sunday, because it might be fun watching me cry when we lose. That could be quite good. So you might enjoy that, or maybe not if we don't lose. So we'll see. I say thanks to you guys, Melvyn and Dawsey and Paul, of course, for coming on tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks.
No problem.
And big weekend coming up. Nervous weekend, I'm sure, for all of us, but we'll always be the same. So come on, you Gunners! Come on,
you Spurs! And just going forward, stay safe.